At Nationals Park in Washington, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball. Today, the Mets play the Washington Nationals. Well, the Nationals came home after a 9-1 road trip, including a sweep at Citi Field, hoping to bury the New York Mets. Well, it hasn't quite worked out that way. The Mets have taken the first two games of the series, leaving the Nationals a little rejected and a little dejected. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Washington. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets go for the sweep of the three-game series against the Nationals. One of the keys to the Mets these last couple of days, and really through the first part of the season, keeping them afloat, has been the play of Michael Conforto, who's done it not just with his bat, but with his glove as well.
Well, I think that's why we're gloating so much in the open, is that Conforto has been unbelievable. His defense has been to where you think he's one of the best outfielders that the Mets have, as far as catching the ball, throwing it, going back on it, but also he's proven that he's gotten out to the quick start that he did last year. But you know what? It feels different this year than it did last year, because you're seeing Michael Conforto yesterday with a 2-home run game, one against Strasburg, one against the left-hander Enny Romero, and you're starting to feel, if you're a Met fan, broadcaster within the organization, that this kid is here to stay.
And he's back in the leadoff spot again today for the Mets, as they go for the sweep of the series with Noah Syndergaard on the mound. Syndergaard, his first start in 10 days after being pushed back because of biceps tendonitis, refused an MRI, says he's good to go, and Syndergaard will get his first crack at the Nationals. 30 strikeouts, no walks to start this season for Syndergaard, the second longest streak to start a season in Major League history. The warm weather has arrived, plenty of ways to cool down. Mets will try and keep the Nationals cooled off. The game today on Pix 11. Michael Conforto set to lead off against Joe Ross in the final game of the series, and Ross's first pitch is inside, and we're underway.
See Joe Ross's numbers, 13 and 10 in 34 starts in his career.
And the slider in for a strike, 1-1. Conforto 2 home runs yesterday, first time he's done that in a regular season game. Also hit 2 home runs in Game 4 of the World Series in 2015, but that doesn't count on his regular season ledger. Counts only in a different realm. Here's your Mets lineup brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Jose Reyes has begun hitting, so he's moved up to the 2 spot. Day off for Asdrubal Cabrera. So Matt Reynolds gets his first action of the season, playing third base. 1-2 from Ross to Conforto, and he struck him out. Got him with a slider for the first out of the day.
The Nationals defense brought to you by Nissan. Michael A. Taylor in center field. Adam Needham, bad news. ACL gone for the season. Rendon, Turner, Murphy, and Zimmerman. All of those hitters hot except Rendon. And Matt Wieters, who had the day off yesterday, back in there.
Here's Reyes, 5-game hitting streak, including a couple of home runs. One yesterday, his second of the year. And so after a dreadful start, Reyes appears to have found the groove, at least offensively, and up in the 2 spot in the batting order today. And bluffing the bunt, takes a slider for ball 2.
Ross, just like his older brother Tyson Ross, great slider, likes to throw it early and often.
Began the year in the minors this year, made 2 starts for Syracuse. This is his 3rd big league start of the season. Last one was at Coors Field, a nightmare for him. At a big league, couldn't get through 5 innings. That's happened to other pitchers before. And a fastball strike to Reyes, 2-1. But last year he really established himself, made 19 starts for the Nats, but then was shut down in July because of shoulder problems and missed 2.5 months, and it really put a crimp in his year. Wound up going 7-5. Reyes bangs one down to first. It's past Zimmerman and down the line. Reyes on his way to second. Harper has to go all the way into the corner to get it. So Reyes will head for third. And Jose has himself a triple, his first of the year.
This ball just stayed fair. Zimmerman off the line and couldn't get to it. Even though it landed on the foul part of the line, it went over the bag. And we've seen this since 2003. Most exciting play for the Mets all of those last 14, 15 years has been watching Reyes run a triple.
122nd career triple for Jose Reyes, more than any active player. And he is also the Mets all-time leader in triples, his 104th as a Met. And an RBI opportunity for Jay Bruce, who has struggled in this series, going 1 for 9 in the first 2 games. Nats have the infield back, willing to concede a run on a ground ball. And Bruce takes it inside, 2-0. Jay's got the pants hiked up today. It's a different look for him. Neil Walker on deck.
I've seen a lot of the players, the Sunday day game, they tend to hike it up a bit.
Not going with the Skyline socks, though. Solid blue. Ross behind 2-0, and he deals a strike. Joe Ross, still just 23 years old, made his debut 2 years ago at just turned 22.
Incredible athlete, great future ahead of him if he can stay healthy.
His problem, though, through the early part of his career has been getting left-hand hitters out. It's been a struggle for him. And Bruce lines one through the shift, a base hit, and the Mets have the early lead. Jay Bruce drives in his 15th run of the year, so the Reyes triple is cashed in, and the Mets lead 1-0.
Like to hear that start. Way to get it started, Hosey. Well, he got it started because an outside fastball, pretty decent pitch by Ross, but lined in the right field by Bruce.
I love dugout chatter right out of the gate.
Oh, I love it.
First run of the game brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'.
The other one they usually say is early and often. That away, boys.
Here's Neil Walker, who's 0 for 8 in this series. And he takes a fastball for a strike. It's been an April of fits and starts for Walker, hitting just .205. You know, you look at the first 2 games of this series. The Mets won both games, scored a total of 12 runs, and their 3, 4, and 5 hitters, Bruce, Walker, and Granderson, went a combined 1 for 25. All-speed pitch by Ross, and he gets ahead on Walker 0-2.
Went to the Penguins Capitals game last night. Spent some time with Doc Emmerich. He said, Neil Walker, how's he doing? I said, he's doing all right. He's doing fine. What a hockey player he could have been.
Doc is the greatest of all time.
He is.
He has defined what it is to be a hockey play-by-play guy. Long hold by Ross, and time finally asked for by Walker. Can only hold for so long. Ted Barrett, the crew chief, calling the balls and strikes today.
Really no need to hold that long. There's the umpires. Angel Hernandez, who made the correct call yesterday at second base. I did not think it was. Maybe we'll look at it later and we'll explain why.
We'll go through the details of the obstruction rule.
Yes.
And I'm sure every fan has been looking forward to.
Thank God it didn't happen to me in October.
0-2 to Walker. Tapped slowly, charging his Rendon. Goes to second, gets the out there. The relay not in time. It goes as 5-6 on the fielder's choice, with Trey Turner handling the throw at second. So Bruce is erased, and there are 2 out. Well, last weekend the Nats came to Citi Field and stunned the Mets 3 straight games, and the Mets have turned the tables in this series, looking to counter a road sweep with a road sweep of their own. It would certainly help their cause if they can get Curtis Granderson going. Curtis 0 for 8 in this series, down to 133 for the year, which is the lowest batting average in the major leagues among qualifiers. And one of the worst Aprils a Met position player has ever had. It's the 5th lowest April batting average in Mets history. The good news is there are a couple of pretty good hitters who were worse. Cleon Jones, 1967, went 5 for 50 in April. Gary Carter in 1989 went 7 for 60 in April. Check swing tapper right back to Ross. And it makes the flip to get Granderson side retire, but the Mets cash an early run. Reyes a triple. Bruce drives him in. Syndergaard to the mound when we come back. By Spectrum, join America's fastest growing TV, internet, and voice provider. By Land Rover, above and beyond. By Pitney Bowes, the craftsman of commerce. By Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, more science, less fear. And by Honda, hurry into the Honda Dream Garage sales event today. Teams of the game brought to you by Hyundai. There's no better time to buy a new Hyundai than now.
I mean, shockingly, the first Met to have multi-hit games in 3 straight is Reyes. Syndergaard, 98 miles an hour, unbelievable average velocity. And Zimmerman, if you track that out, he'll have 66 home runs and 160 RBIs at the end of the year.
National starting lineup brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyOffers.com. Late switch by Dusty Baker. He had Taylor hitting second and Worth hitting seventh, and he flip-flopped them about an hour before the game. Trey Turner leads off. Noah Syndergaard's fastball is in for a strike.
Remember that Worth has always petitioned any manager he's played for to hit second. He likes that spot.
He's also hit leadoff some in his career. See the numbers on Syndergaard, who has not pitched in 10 days. It's been something of a soap opera with Noah over the last week. Had his start first not pushed back when the Mets had a rainout last week. Then it was pushed back. Then he was scratched because of biceps tendonitis. Said that he couldn't lift his arm over his shoulder. Strike three called, and he gets Turner on 3 pitches at 99 miles an hour. So the shoulder looks perfectly fine right now.
Mets defense brought to you by your Honda dealer. Conforto, Granderson, and Bruce. Your regular outfield now with Cespedes out. Matt Reynolds gets a start. Matt Reyes, Walker, and Rivera around the infield. And Rene Rivera, the personal catcher for Syndergaard.
Terry Collins was raving about the work T.J. Rivera has done his first couple of games at first base. Here's Jason Worth in that 2 spot in the order, 1 for 7 in this series.
You know, I memorized stuff in the infield and I couldn't pull it up. 20 starts for Matt Reynolds. Only the first one at third base. Second one at third base, sorry. Had one before.
1-1 to Worth.
Maybe I should have just left it alone.
Anyway, we were talking about Syndergaard's week.
Yeah.
You know, along the way, he had a blow up in the clubhouse because he didn't want to talk about the issue with his arm, which of course everybody wanted to talk about once it was raised. That's lined to right field. Worth's got himself a base hit. Nicely cut off by Bruce, and he'll hold Worth to a single. That's a terrific defensive play by Jay Bruce to keep Jason Worth from getting to second base.
Well, first, a bullet ball traveled back inside to Worth. He inside outed it, and this is an in-between hop that he makes the play on. Outstanding play by Bruce here early on a Sunday.
I'm asking this question totally without any snark. Does StatCast measure that play?
Of course not.
Or they only measure the plays where an outfielder catches a fly ball?
When he catches a fly ball. They don't understand that is as so important. Worth would have been in scoring position, might even have had a triple.
So here's Bryce Harper, whom the Mets have controlled so far during this series. And first pitch breaking ball misses, ball 1. Harper 1 for 9 with 6 strikeouts and 2 ground ball double plays in the first 2 games of the series. There are his numbers against Syndergaard. Harper starts the day hitting a .386 with a .500 on base percentage, the best in the league.
You know, you were mentioning Syndergaard had a dust up with the media. The dust up though came at him belittling the Mets PR man, who's 70+ years old, and you know, in my opinion, that is about as weak as it can get, and hopefully that never happens again. Luckily I wasn't there. I wouldn't take that.
So he's got that on his plate, and then the fact that the Mets asked him to take an MRI to see if that arm is okay, and he refused. So it's got a lot to prove here today.
I honestly, though, if I were him, I would not take an MRI anymore. I mean, every time they put you in the MRI, that's 3 months straight away or more.
Because they'll always find something.
They'll find anything.
He's behind 3-0 on Harper. And there's his first walk of the season. Noah Syndergaard had struck out 31 batters this year, the second most to start a season without a walk in Major League history, and now issues his first free pass. The only pitcher who's gone further into a season was Adam Wainwright in 2013. He had 35 strikeouts before his first walk. And now Syndergaard has to face the raging hot Ryan Zimmerman, whom the Mets have not gotten out in this series. Zimmerman is 5 for 8 with 3 homers and 6 RBIs in the first 2 games. Worth at second, Harper at first with one out. And a glance back at Worth, who got tangled up around second base yesterday. Fastball dents the outside corner, 0-1. 100 miles an hour from Syndergaard. Worth at second, Harper at first with one out. And it's up the middle, a base hit for Zimmerman. Worth being waved around third. They'll score without a throw, and the Nationals tie the game, and Ryan Zimmerman comes through again. His 7th RBI of the series and his 28th of the year. And it's 1-1.
Two balls hit extremely hard in this inning. The Worth ball and the Zimmerman ball. Fastball away and down. Nice hitting by Zimmerman.
Right now you just can't get him out.
You know, Gary, I said throughout this series, I think a lot of times we had the book on Zimmerman from the last couple of seasons when he was not a good player. In his heyday, like the ball down, he liked it away. Have to pitch him up at the belt and in right now.
Need a sequel
yeah, right.
to the book.
Prequel.
Here's Daniel Murphy, who's 2 for 7 in this series. Took an 0 for yesterday, and Syndergaard starts him off with a slider, 0-1.
I mean, to go down and get that ball. Ryan Zimmerman is a 6'5" athlete. That's tremendous to get that low to hit that ball up the middle.
Well, he's certainly got an early line on comeback player of the year, which his teammate Anthony Rendon won last year. Murphy gets tied up, and he went around on the slider. So back-to-back sliders. That's something that was effective yesterday for Zach Wheeler against Murphy.
Well, Murphy's looking for a fastball in. So if you give him the appearance that it's something hard in and then break it off the zone, that's how you get that swinging strike. Murphy's right on the dish. If you look at his hands are almost on the inside corner of the plate. Closer to the plate than I've ever seen him.
Harper at second, Zimmerman at first. Syndergaard ahead 0-2 on Murph. And he got him. 3 straight sliders, and he wipes out Murphy for the second out.
A new book being written about Daniel Murphy right now. And it started with Zach Wheeler pitching him in and going to that slider. And that gave Syndergaard the blueprint to repeat. And he did.
Wash, rinse, repeat. 2 out. Now it's Anthony Rendon, 1 for 6 in this series. Of all the Nationals in the lineup, he's had the most success against Syndergaard, 6 for 19, including the only home run in the Nationals lineup against Noah. Two on and 2 out. And that goes to the backstop. And the runners will move up.
Boy, I feel like Rene Rivera was crossed up there. Let's see if they have a conversation, these two. Yes, they will. Watch, he's looking for a fastball. Doesn't even get the glove down.
Got the curveball.
So he's expecting 100 and gets 92 breaking.
So a wild pitch charge to Syndergaard. 2 in scoring position now for Rendon with 2 out. Harper now at third, Zimmerman at second. To Rendon. And yes, that said 101. 101.
He pitches a game I'm not familiar with, Gary.
Behind 2-0. Rendon grounds one through the hole, a base hit. Harper is in. Zimmerman heads home. Conforto's throw goes off the glove of the cutoff man, and that enables Rendon to go to second. A 2-run single for Anthony Rendon, and the Nationals have a 3-1 first inning lead.
Well, some rustiness here from Syndergaard. That ball middle of the plate, and Rendon was able to catch up to it. Seen a lot of balls in this hole, and Henley was very aggressive.
No error on the play, despite the fact Reynolds mishandled the throw from left field.
That should have been an E5,
yeah,
Gary.
they're giving Rendon second on the throw. Here's Michael Taylor hitting 7th in the order, so 3 runs home against Syndergaard, who in his last start gave up 5 runs to the Phillies over 7 innings, albeit some shoddy defense helping that out, only 3 earned. And now here he is after complaining of the difficulty with his biceps, refusing an MRI, and he's given up 3 runs in the first inning. And now Taylor lines one into center field for a base hit. Rendon will try to score. Granderson's throw to the plate is too late, and it goes to the backstop, and now Taylor will go to second base, and it's 4-1 Washington.
Well, somebody came to play today, and they're in the red and white so far. Breaking ball in the middle of the plate. Remember, the game ended yesterday on Taylor striking out against a Familia on a slider. Throw, and you can see Rivera trying to hold his position to make the sweeping tag. Syndergaard backing up, but in the wrong position.
So give an error to Granderson, allowing Taylor to go to second base. Wieters will get the intentional pass, and so the pitcher Joe Ross, who's not a bad hitter, will come up with 2 men on and 4 runs already home.
You know, that's why those little things, you know, whether you want to call an error on Reynolds or not, those little things are allowing the runner to get to second. That's why he scored on the base hit. Those are all little things that you have to do better.
You know, my assumption on not giving Reynolds an error is that he was already heading to second base.
Because he was going to get, if it get cut off, he'd be out anyway.
He might have been out, and the inning could have been over, and that would have saved a run too, right? Ross is 0 for 7 this year, but he had a good year with the bat last year. Lifetime 173 hitter. So Taylor at second, Wieters at first with 2 out. And now Ross grounds one foul. So when you've been through the tumult that Noah Syndergaard has been for the last week, and now this happens, what goes through your brain?
Noah's brain or everyone else's brain? I think what goes through Noah's brain is that I think he feels as though, I mean, he's obviously physically just rusty. Okay, watching him in the first inning, to me it feels like he's overthrowing, trying to throw everything 1,000 miles an hour. But as far as everyone else's brain, you know, or to my brain, I shouldn't say anyone else's brain, you know, there's a whole difference between being broke and hurt, or feeling pain, not hurt, feeling pain. And probably wishes he had made his start those days ago.
And Ross has a base hit. Taylor heads home. Conforto's throw to the plate hits the runner, and the Nats have a 5-run first inning. Joe Ross comes through with an RBI hit, and it's 5-1 Washington.
Well, the Mets didn't take any infield or outfield before the game, but their outfielders are getting plenty of chances to loosen up their arms. Conforto with a good throw to the plate, but it's into the runner, and it hits Taylor and bounds away. Joe Ross, you said it, Gary. Good athlete, good hitter. He gets the job done.
And Warthen out to talk to Syndergaard. And he has not experienced anything like this in a long time.
You know, this game humbles everyone, Gary. You know it. You've been around it a long, long time. Doesn't matter how great you are. And it's been a long time since he's been on the mound, and it looks it.
Sean Gilmartin, who was at the ready, called up just in case Syndergaard couldn't take the start. Now getting ready as a long man. Trey Turner, who led off by striking out, up for the second time, and he grounds the breaking ball foul. I mean, when I asked you about what's going through his mind, is there anything in there saying, wow, I got a lot to answer for after this game?
No, not when you're out there. I think there's just a complete frustration in the moment that you're getting knocked around by these Nationals. You know it's a big game to try to win 3 in a row here. You counted on to pitch the big game. But I think when the game ends, or when he's taken out of this game, he certainly will say, boy, instead of the tumult that I had caused, it might have been better to make that start on Sunday.
Well, hubris is an amazing thing.
It really is.
And it's very common in young athletes, and sometimes you have to be humble in order to take that next step forward.
I certainly was, many more times than I'd wished.
1-2 to Turner. Hit hard. Reynolds makes the stop, gets the out at second, and the inning finally comes to an end. The 10 Nationals came to bat, and 5 of them scored. Syndergaard takes the pounding. 5-1 Nats after 1. Joe Ross, who was right in the middle of that 5-run outburst by the Nationals, an RBI single after the Mets intentionally walked the number 8 hitter ahead of him. So a little late getting back out to the mound and getting ready to pitch with the lead now. Mets will send up a pair of Riveras to start the second. TJ, then Rene, and then Matt Reynolds. TJ making his 3rd straight start at first base. He's gone 4 for 8 in this series with a pair of doubles. Looked good with the bat and with the glove at first. And he takes a strike from Ross. The thought was that the Mets might have Lucas Duda back as early as tomorrow. It looks now as though that is not going to happen. Lucas played his first rehab game on Friday. Remember, he's coming back from a hyperextended elbow. And apparently neglected to wear his elbow brace that he was supposed to wear during the game Friday.
Now, you're not talking about the brace that would protect him from being a hit ball. It was a restrictive brace, right? Okay.
Right. And so whether that was the reason or not. He came up a little sore in that elbow yesterday. Didn't play. Not going to play today. So it's going to be at least a few more days before Lucas is ready to return, which gives T.J. Rivera that much more of an opportunity to run with this at first base, and so far so good.
Well, the kids are tough in the Bronx, and he's making the most of it, isn't he?
Lehman High School. Undrafted free agent. He's have to fight for everything, and you know, nobody takes advantage of opportunities better than a guy who's been told no a lot of times.
You know, if you're on the bench for the Mets, you got to say to yourself, we just beat Scherzer, we just beat Strasburg. Come on, whittle away at this kid.
And Rivera goes down on the slider. Second strikeout for Joe Ross. Around the Majors brought to you by your local Tri-State Volkswagen dealers. A lot of action yesterday. Carlos Gomez, second career cycle. First one came 9 years ago. Matt Kemp hit 3 home runs for the Braves yesterday in their 11-3 win over the Brewers. And the Dodgers. Remember 2006?
I do.
When they hit the 4 straight home runs against the Padres and then won it in the 11th? Well, yesterday they had 3 home runs in a row in the 9th and then won it later in the inning.
Well, that home run, that 11th, they won the game on a Nomar Garciaparra home run. So 5 runs in a row on 5 solos.
Last night it was Yasiel Puig, the rookie Cody Bellinger, and then Justin Turner hit the tying home run, and then Adrian Gonzalez later in the inning won it with a base hit off the glove of the third baseman that frankly looked like an error, but anyway, they won the game. But the game back in 2006, in the midst of the 4 straight home runs, Jeff Kent and J.D. Drew. That's in the air to deep left field off the bat of Rivera, headed toward the stands, and it's out of here. Rene Rivera with his first home run of the year. So Rene, who had been in an 0 for 12 skid, cracks one deep against Joe Ross. And the Mets get a little closer. It's now 5-2.
27 career home runs now for the journeyman. And is it just me? Every time he starts, he seems to get a base hit, do something positive, and this time more than positive. Hanging slider for a homer.
Now Matt Reynolds, his first big league at bat of the season. And at 96 major league at bats last year, hit .225 with 3 home runs. He was hitting .300 through his first 13 games at Vegas. And there's a strike, 1-1. Anyway, Kent and Drew back to back in that 4 home run outburst back in '06. It was not the last time they went back to back that season, but the next time it wasn't home runs.
That's right.
It was getting thrown out at the plate on the same play.
LaDuca with the tag.
Here's Rene Rivera's home run.
We've got some serious good audio here because you can tell right off the bat and the sound if it's out of the ballpark. Kudos to our audio people.
And Reynolds lines one to right field, but it'll stay up for Harper. And that's the second out. So Matt hits it hard in his first big league at bat of the season. So the Mets are getting some good swings against Joe Ross. Chance to try and fight their way back into this thing if Noah Syndergaard can settle down. Noah 2 for 8 at the plate so far this year. 4 career home runs. And he takes a fastball inside. Thought this might be one of those days where Terry would bat Noah somewhere out of the 9-hole. But batting 9th today. I guess if you hit a pitcher any higher than 8th, it's almost like you're dissing your position players.
Yeah. You know, and Reynolds, they just called up, and you know, there's no speed at the bottom. I think unless there's a real reason to hit someone someone in the 9th hole. It's more important than even putting the pitcher in the 8th hole. Hit someone in the 9th hole then keep your pitcher there.
I mean, you and I both are old enough to remember Rick Rhoden hitting sixth. Gary Peters back in the 60s hit sixth.
Rhoden DH'd in that game.
Ross behind on Syndergaard 3-0. And that's outside ball 4. So a 4-pitch walk to Syndergaard. And that keeps the inning moving. And Michael Conforto will come to the plate with a man on. First walk given up by Ross.
He's got a good number, Joe Ross.
Well, if you're a Met fan, I don't know about in Nationals history.
Just whenever I see the number, I don't care who's wearing it.
Only one number 41 as far as I'm concerned.
That's right.
And he's a vintner.
Vintner.
Here's Michael Conforto, who struck out his first time up. And he takes the strike. Zimmerman playing behind Syndergaard, running at first. And that's drilled foul.
You know, Gary, this starts to become my favorite time of the year. Those April off days that you have to ensure you have makeup times for the April games are starting to evaporate. And now guys are playing every day. This is where you see what teams really have some strengths and weaknesses.
Well, of course, April was a good month for Michael Conforto last year. Hit 365 in April. You can see the OPS is just about the same. And had just about the same amount of playing time. Even though this year he started the year as a part-time player. Now in there every day because of injury and because of his own effectiveness. 2-2.
Well, he's, I think, at the point now with Reyes on deck, realizing this is a grind of everyday instantaneous success. He had it in the postseason, as you mentioned, and then early last year. Doesn't guarantee anything. The only thing that guarantees anything is today. That's it.
2-2 coming, and he chops one foul. Well, it's only a handful of games, but Joe Ross has been successful early in the season. As has Noah Syndergaard, by the way, despite his rough beginning to this game. Two from Ross, and Conforto pops it up. Trey Turner waiting for it. And that retires the side. Mets get a little closer on Rene Rivera's first home run of the season. But Syndergaard trailing 5-2 as he goes back to the mound. After getting tagged for 5 runs in the first inning. Steve Gelb is away this weekend. Eamon McEnany is with us, and let's check in with Eamon.
Thanks, Gary. Obviously, this is being tested right now by the national success here against Noah Syndergaard. But I had a chance to talk to Jose Reyes earlier today, and he told me that even though it's only been 2 games, there's a completely different vibe around the club now than just on Thursday after the homestand. He said no one was pushing the panic button, but they knew that obviously they weren't playing at the level this team is capable of. So when they came down here to play a first-place national team that was rolling and face Max Scherzer, it was time to find out what this team was made of. And that victory on Friday night completely flipped the switch in the clubhouse and the mood around the team. And he also gave Terry Collins credit, saying that speech after the loss on Thursday was exactly what this team needed. He said it really focused them, and they came down here with a completely different energy. And right now, Gary, with the 2 wins here, in Reyes' mind, it's a completely different team than the one at the end of the homestand.
Well, it's the nature of baseball, and thank you, Eamon. Nature of baseball, that things can change from day to day. Think about what Jose Reyes was feeling as he was going through probably the worst slump of his career, and said that there was no energy and the team seemed complacent and other words. I think this is how I would take it, just from my experience. Don't get too giddy. They've won a couple games here in Washington. You've played really well. But this is a long season, and the goal is that every day you max out on that energy as much as you can, whether you're in the middle of a 2-game winning streak or a 2-game losing streak. That's when they will take off.
Two and two to Jason Worth, and he fouls off the slider.
You know, Gary, I missed that one thing that Reyes was addressing was the Mets were getting behind early, and he said, you know, once they got behind early, it didn't feel like they could come back. You know, that certainly has changed in the last couple of days, the way they've played. But can't panic. Syndergaard had a bad inning. All right, you're down 3 runs. That shouldn't mean anything. Now, against an A Scherzer, an A Strasburg, when they're on top of the game, it might mean more. But in a game like this, they're hitting as well as they've hit all year. There's a chance.
3-2 to Worth, and that's hit hard, and Reynolds able to snag it in the webbing for the first out. Well, they have squared up some balls against Noah in this first inning plus, but Reynolds equal to that one.
He's leaving that slider on the inside part of the plate, and Worth jumped all over it. Swinging at the slider, almost like they know it's coming. It's very interesting.
Well, there's always been a question about whether pitchers give away what they might be throwing.
You know, it's interesting, and it's not that Noah's tipping his pitches. I don't know if he is, but there's certain things, and they run the gamut from fanning the glove. That means opening the glove on a changeup. That's a natural one that a lot of pitchers will do. But I remember there was one pitcher, when he would throw his curveball, he would yawn. I mean, it was that simple.
How bizarre.
When he would come to his set position, he would have a little yawn before he threw his curveball. So every pitcher has their own little picadillo.
1-1 to Harper, and Bryce takes fastball outside. 2-1. You would think something like that your teammate would alert you to it.
Well, not soon enough. I used to always hold my finger outside of the glove from my playing days at shortstop, and whenever I threw a curveball, I would wiggle the finger that was outside the glove. Don Zimmer told me that. So that got that finger in the glove.
Change up in for a strike to Harper. I didn't think so.
Well,
now there's Syndergaard holding his arm, and this is the worst case scenario that the Mets feared in sending him to the mound today.
It's holding like his oblique or his armpit or lat, or and that's it.
The Mets will not waste one moment getting him out of the game.
Wow.
Well, it's been a tumultuous week for Syndergaard, and a nightmarish inning in the third comes to an end. And now Met fans and everybody connected with the Mets will hold their breath.
Biceps tendonitis, for you folks didn't hear, I'm sure you did, which is connected to the front of the shoulder. But on this changeup, watch his reaction. Lets go of it and immediately grabs underneath his armpit to the lat. Arm just dangling to the right. Explains it to his catcher Rivera. His manager and trainer sprint out along with home plate umpire Ted Barrett. And the day is done.
The day and how much more. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. More science, less fear. Sean Gilmartin will get all the time he needs to get ready. Air France. France is in the air. Mets upcoming schedule. Go to pix11.com/team travel for great deals on Mets away games from cheapoair.com. Mets will make their first visit to SunTrust Park in Atlanta tomorrow night. First of a 4-game series against the Braves. Then they go home to play the Marlins and the Giants on their next homestand starting Friday night. Well, here are the last 2 pitches Noah Syndergaard threw before leaving because of injury.
Fastball away. You can see he kind of cringed and kind of rolled his arm around his back and got up on the mound and tried another one. So it hurt on that pitch prior. Tried to tough it out. Change up is the pitch. And that's where it really hurt. And caught him.
I mean, there's so much swirling around now, especially with first the poor performance and then the injury that Syndergaard exits the game with. I mean, from the way Noah handled this in the first place and the way the Mets pushed him back rather than putting him on the disabled list, and Noah's refusal to submit to an MRI, insisting that he knew his body and that he was okay, and now this. And I don't know where you go from here other than try and get a diagnosis and figure out just what's wrong with your most important pitcher.
Yeah, I don't know where the start, middle, or end is really, Gary. I think that the most difficult part, I think, in today's game is when a young pitcher of his renown complains of some uncomfortable feelings in his arm, biceps tendonitis. In this respect, is that there is pressure from yourself, there's pressure for your teammates, and pressure for the organization and team to get back on the mound. The team needed him to get back on the mound. He chose to do that, and even with the delay and wait, it didn't matter on this gloomy Sunday.
So Sean Gilmartin, who was called up just the other day, who's made one big league appearance this season, comes in to resume the at-bat to Harper, who grounds one out to shortstop. Reyes with the quick throw to get him, and that's the second out of the inning. So Syndergaard goes just an inning and a third. 5 runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, 1 intentional, 2 strikeouts, a wild pitch. But a much greater import is him grabbing at the area underneath his arm, presumably somewhere around his lat. But if you read lips, he kind of said "my lat" when he was approached by the trainer. So, as you say, though, when you talk about biceps tendonitis and lats and everything's connected.
So true, Gary. Yeah, even though, for an example for you folks, 2 outs here, I'll try to say it quickly. Remember when Johan Santana was really complaining about his bicep in his upper arm and his tricep, in fact. He was blaming about the tricep and bicep and saying, he just didn't feel right in there. Ended up being the entire front of his shoulder. He felt no pain in there, but that's where the injury was. So I'm not saying that's where the injury is. I'm just saying that everything is interconnected.
Ryan Zimmerman drove in a run with a base hit up the middle. That got the Nats merry-go-round started in that first inning. And Gilmartin runs the fastball inside. 2-1.
I used to always have incredible pain in my forearm, and that resulted in 3 elbow surgeries. My elbow never hurt, but the flexor strain was an example of what was going on in the elbow.
Well, you hear that all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, when Matt Harvey had his Tommy John surgery, he didn't feel pain in his elbow. Grounded out to short. Another chance for Reyes. Reyes looking a lot better at short than he has at third lately. Makes a couple of nice plays to get Gilmartin through the second. Mets will go to bat in the third, trailing 5-2. Jose Reyes will lead things off for the Mets in the third. Noah Syndergaard leaving the game because of injury. What does that do to a dugout in a game where you watched your ace pitcher leave grabbing underneath his arm?
Well, Gary, I'll say it won't affect your performance, but I will say, instead of sitting on the bench and thinking about sometimes the game, your mind starts to wander. You start to ask guys next to you, do you know what's going on? You go to the trainer, what exactly happened? Sometimes you'll walk into the clubhouse and offer your condolences. Anytime a pitcher gets hurt, he goes into the locker room, goes into the training room, is usually sitting there as doctors, trainers, and other people are coming up and examining you. And a lot of times you just offer, not condolences, that's too strong of a word, but you come up and put your arm around him and say, hey, tough it out, big guy. And then you go back to playing.
Right. Jose Reyes had his first triple of the year, his first time up. He's now hit in 6 straight games. And he slashes one foul, and it's 2-2. Eamon McEnany is down by the dugout. Eamon?
Well, to elaborate on what Ron was talking about, I thought it was interesting when the players were still out in the field when Noah Syndergaard went into the clubhouse at first. Clearly Terry Collins was upset. You certainly, more than anyone who's ever followed Terry Collins, pacing along as that ball is hit out to Worth and left, pacing more than you've ever seen him. Certainly not hiding his upset with the injury, but once the players came back into the dugout, more encouraging, went up to Jay Bruce specifically, patted him on the back, said let's go. So he knew what Ron was mentioning, what his players were thinking, and he was there to sort of flip the switch and pick his players up and say, let's focus on hitting now and not what's wrong with Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do at some point except go out there and win the ball game. So that's what you do. That's what ball players do. But it does cast a pall over the dugout. Absolutely. This is not Joe Wednesday who's throwing every 5th day. Right. This is the man, and just like Cespedes was the man, and this has happened in the same week.
Jay Bruce drove in the Mets' first run with a first-inning single. In the air to center field, hit well. Back goes Taylor to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Jay Bruce launches a home run, his 7th of the year. Long balls in the last 2 innings as the Mets creep closer. It's now 5-3 Washington.
Well, Eamon, you got it. Bruce took those words to heart. It's a little funny to see Jay Bruce and Jose Reyes with the real over-the-top home run celebration, but I like it.
7 home runs for Bruce. Mets' 2nd home run of the day.
Ross trying to throw a changeup away and down, throws it down and in.
Ross has now given up 5 home runs in 14 innings this season.
I like the block out that when a pitcher throws in Colorado, but still, he's been roughed up here early in the season.
The Mets are already in their bullpen. The Nats may be before long, unless Ross can get it together.
What we've seen so far, when you look at the swing of Bruce, when he's able to drop the head of the bat on a pitch down in the strike zone, he's got tremendous power. And of course he does. 248 home runs now.
33 last year. Walker slaps one the other way, and Rendon makes the pick and throws him out 2 away. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Curtis Granderson, who hit a comebacker his first time up.
We're talking about the players, what they think about. I mean, just being up here in the booth, random thoughts in my head is, boy, Noah must probably going to go straight back to New York. He's going to have to see the doctors. MRI for sure this time.
Yeah, I don't think Sandy will have to strap him down now.
You know, who's coming up, who's going to make the replacement starts, all of those little things.
And a foul ball at the plate. Well, this is where the injuries to Steven Matz and Seth Lugo factor in even greater. You know, those two have just started throwing off the mound and probably are 3 weeks to a month away at best from returning. You've got Robert Gsellman in the rotation, who is struggling, who goes tomorrow night in Atlanta. Half swing, and Granderson held it in time. So, you know, Gil Martin is here and taking over in long relief. And there aren't a lot of other options in the organization right now to step in.
So Gil Martin will get the start, and the other pitchers are going to have to get better, except for DeGrom. He's fine.
1-2, and Granderson lays off. Well, it's been one of the real anomalies to this season. The Mets, this is the 18th straight game the Mets have given up 3 or more runs. Swing and a foul tip, held, and strike 3. Third strikeout for Ross, but after Rene Rivera homered in the second, Jay Bruce goes deep in the third. Cuts the Nats lead to 2 runs as we go to the bottom of the third in D.C. Ram trucks, guts, glory, Ram. If you're just tuning in, you've missed a bunch. We'll try and catch you up. Daniel Murphy leads off in the home third, and Sean Gilmartin works him inside, which seems to be a theme now when Murphy comes to the plate. Murph struck out on 3 Noah Syndergaard sliders his first time up.
Yeah, I don't know why, Gary, I don't know, anniversary period for Murphy moving to Washington and the Mets has been so friendly and cordial. I think maybe because he was a good teammate and he was there for so long. But, you know, this guy's trying to take your money, trying to take your place in the standings. And I think the last couple of days, the Mets have pitched him hard, they pitched him in, they pitched aggressive, and they pitched him mean. And it's a little better attitude.
Well, after a guy torches you for an entire season last year, as Murph did, and then hits a grand slam a week ago tonight, can understand why. Good fastball at the knees by Gilmartin, 2-2. That's what Murph has done in his career. 19 games last year and 5+ games so far this year. Gilmartin faced 2 batters in that second inning, got them both out after Syndergaard had to leave. 2-2 to Murphy. And the slider off the plate. Full count. Anthony Rendon on deck, and then Michael Taylor for the Nats in the third. And Murphy takes strike three call. Fastball at the knees. And Murph goes away, an unhappy customer. Second time Murphy's been struck out today.
He had him in between, thinking about breaking ball. He got a fastball. Murph thinks it's down.
By the way, that last fastball from Sean Gilmartin, 92 miles an hour. Not sure we've seen that before.
Well, he's got to be pumped up. Don't kid yourself. When Sean Gilmartin went to bed last night, he had to think to himself, I'm going to be pitching in this ball game, and I might be pitching early, not anticipating an injury. None of that. It's just that whenever you're there, when someone has been hurting a bit, and you're the backup guy, you've got to treat it just like you're starting the ball game. And so far, so good for Sean.
You know, with all the back and forth that Sean has had to do as far as being on the 25-man roster back in Vegas, he's only made 2 appearances this year, 1 for Vegas and 1 for the Mets. So he hasn't pitched much.
There's your 92.
Maybe. 2-0 to Rendon, and he fouls back the fastball. Rendon had a base hit to left field, driving 2 runs in the Nationals' 5-run first inning. It's been an interesting path for Gilmartin, though, hasn't it? I mean, he was a Rule 5 pick, which meant in 2015 he spent the entire season in the big leagues.
And real good, too.
Really well.
Yeah.
And then last year, because now after a year on the big league roster as a Rule 5 guy, you can be sent down. He was back and forth a lot and didn't fare nearly as well. That's drilled to deep left field. Conforto gives it a courtesy glance, but that's way out of here. Anthony Rendon parks his first home run of the season. His 3rd RBI of the day, and the Nationals now lead 6-3.
Well, don't forget, the Nationals got some serious thunder also. And Rendon shows it there. Rendon seemed a little at the mercy of DeGrom and others with a good fastball. But Gilmartin more of the hitting speed that he likes.
So now it's a 3-1 Washington lead. And here's Michael Taylor, who drove in a run with a base hit in the first inning.
After the 2-1 fastball, he came back with the 2-1 changeup. 2-0 fastball, sorry. Came back with the 2-1 changeup. And it was right down the middle. That just speeds up a bat for Rendon. He doesn't hit him much further than that, Gary.
We've seen some long home runs in this series. The one Darno hit on Friday night. The one that Zimmerman hit yesterday, which was 470, I think. Right center field, falling fast and down for a base hit. And Taylor, who had 3 hits yesterday in his first game, filling in for the now departed for the season Adam Eaton. He's got 2 hits today.
Well, good pitch from Gilmartin, down right on the corner, just off the end of the bat.
So now the number 8 hitter Matt Wieters, who was intentionally walked his first time up, had most of the day off yesterday with Jose Lobaton catching. Homered on Friday night in the first game of the series. So, you know, we talk all the time about the Mets being a team built to hit home runs. The Mets and the Nationals now have exactly the same number of home runs. They each have 37.
Are they still behind the Brewers?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they both do it with depth of their lineup. You know, when you look up and down the lineup now for the Mets, you haven't seen it yet because Curtis hasn't gotten untracked, still stuck a little bit. And, you know, but the Mets have 7 players who can hit, 6 or 7 players that can hit, you know, 20 or more.
Of course, they've got one important one of those out of the lineup right now. 2 of them, actually. And now Gilmartin behind Wieters 3-0. By the way, speaking of injuries, we mentioned Duda setback. Wilmer Flores, though, is on course to get back sometime this coming week. Hopefully by Thursday when the Mets face a left-hand starter. Jaime Garcia goes in the last game of the series in Atlanta. But Wilmer started his rehab. And looks like the infection is gone. There's ball 4 to Wieters. So 3 straight have now reached base after Gilmartin retired 3 in a row.
And Danny Worthing's going to come out to speak to Gilmartin just to try to address. He's been behind every single batter in this lineup. Sean's not going to be able to be successful doing that.
MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Block out another restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Dan Worthing must already feel as though he spent far too much time at the mound this afternoon.
Pitching coaches really take it personal when their young stars get hurt. It's almost like a member of the family getting hurt.
Now Joe Ross, who had a base hit to drive in a run in the first. Mets will look for the bunt. I don't think there's any guarantee he's going to be bunting. But he does square and takes a strike.
TJ Rivera plays third base, second base, very aggressive at first base. The only problem is Michael Taylor's at second. He's got lots of speed, so you better be careful if you're going to go to third.
And you have an inexperienced third baseman in Matt Reynolds, only his second big league start at the position. Only 33 minor league games there. 1-1 to Ross. Ross did not have a single sacrifice last season, and he doesn't have one yet this year.
I think a lot of it has to do with what you were just addressing, though. They like to let him swing, and I wouldn't be. Well, I think he'll still be bunting here. I want to try to push this lead, especially with Turner coming up.
See, I've always felt with 1 out, let him swing the bat.
Really,
especially if he's a pretty good hitter.
I hate a double play with one of your better hitters up on deck.
But you would never bunt with a position player with 1 out, would you?
No.
I mean, even in a 9th inning situation,
never.
Where with nobody out, you might consider it.
It's just, even if he doesn't come through with the bunt, the worst that happens, you hope, is that it's first and second and 2 outs for Turner. That's the worst.
Bunt still on, gets it down, nice bunt. Rivera looks at third, but he'll throw it to first. 3-4 on the sacrifice, and 2 are in scoring position with 2 out. So now it's Trey Turner, who made 2 outs in the first inning. Struck out to start the inning, hit into a fielder's choice to end the inning. In between, the Nationals scored 5 runs. Now he's got an RBI opportunity.
Can't give him the bunt if you're Reynolds at third base. He'll be in a little bit.
Turner with such great speed, if he gets a bunt down, he's almost certain to beat it out. It's not the greatest play with 2 in scoring position and 2 out, but it's at least it's a possibility.
It's certainly not. But when they give it to you, at least it goes in the back of your mind, thinking about it. But he's red hot. He wants to hit a single.
Had an unbelievable series in Colorado. 2 for 10 so far in this series. And Gilmartin keeps the fastball outside, 1-1. Jason Worth would be next. Mets 3 runs, 4 hits. The Nationals 6 runs and 7 hits. We're in the 3rd. Two and 1. Sean Gilmartin came in with 1 out in the 2nd inning. Noah Syndergaard forced to leave, threw a changeup and grabbed the area under his pitching arm and immediately came out of the game. And Turner fouls off the changeup, and it's 2-2.
Well, that was the changeup to Gilmartin wanted to throw to Rendon. That was a good one down and away.
Well, Gilmartin will be thrilled if he can get through this inning with only 1 run scoring. Taylor at 3rd, Wieters at 2nd with 2 out. Now the 2-2, and he comes inside to Turner, full count. Everything was away, and 1 inside. You have to figure he goes back away now.
Yeah, back away with the changeup. He can throw the breaking ball too, but that was just a show pitch to knock him off the plate to go back away.
Twenty-third pitch of the inning from Gilmartin, and he struck him out with a changeup. Nice work by Sean Gilmartin to limit the damage in the 3rd. Anthony Rendon's home run adds to the Nationals' lead, but the Nats strand 2 in scoring position. We go to the 4th in D.C. with the Mets down 6-3. Down 6-3. We talk all the time about hitters dropping the bat head. Maybe a visual demonstration here with Jay Bruce and Anthony Rendon.
You know, Gary, in my day, it was mostly the left-handed hitters who just would drop that bat head, and that became a power position. But the more and more right-handed hitters are doing it also, and doing it with power. Best player in baseball, Mike Trout for the Los Angeles Angels. He does that. He is a low ball hitter, and I don't know if it's because of the tee or the drills that hitters use now, but right-handed hitters used to be high ball hitters, left-handed hitters low ball hitters. That adage gone forever.
Well, to the point with Trout, where a couple of years ago teams started throwing him high fastball after high fastball, and he had trouble for about half a season and then adjusted because he is the best player in the game.
He just started laying off them, and that's when his walked 120 times instead.
Rivera, and Reynolds up for the Mets in the fourth. LLC.
Yeah.
A little looper down the right field line. Foul. TJ struck out his first time up today. 4 for 9 in this series.
Shows me a lot. You know, he was given a shot at this position, probably knew he had the weekend and that's it, and he's made the most of it.
And maybe now he has more than the weekend.
Of course.
Because you just never know in this game.
Never know with the injuries. The injuries are very very different than they used to be. You know, you felt like you had more of a handle on it. Now a week turns into 2 weeks, 2 weeks and turns into a month turns into the All-Star break, and sometimes guys are throwing 98 and the next thing you know they're operated on a week later.
Well, it seems as though the more care they take in keeping players from getting hurt, the more they get hurt.
Yeah, we're always going to get hurt.
And TJ tried to hold, and he went around strike 3. So Rivera is struck out for the second time. That's 4 strikeouts for Joe Ross.
That's his pitch, the slider, and Rivera couldn't hold up. Did an awfully good job of trying to, though, but punched out.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Rene Rivera, who clocked his first home run of the year in the second inning.
One swing 350, next swing 25 feet.
Would you like to go exit velocity on those?
Why don't we do exit velocity on the really bad hits?
It's so much
jammed.
So much more fun. I know as a pitcher you feel that.
Wow, and just as a chuckle, the hitters might not get a chuckle out of it, but
you know that's always the case, isn't it? The things that amuse the pitchers never amuse the hitters, and vice versa.
Yeah, 2 different fraternities. I mean, most everyday players really can't stand pitchers if they admit it to it.
Well, you know, that has further ramifications as Rivera hits this one out to center field, and Taylor is right there. You know, talking to Tony Clark, the Union chief during spring training, when all the issues about pace of play came up, and basically what Tony said was it's hard to get the membership of the union to agree on anything because there are either measures that are going to affect pitchers or affect hitters, and there are 2 completely different camps.
Especially with most baseball wants to do things that will always help the hitter. If you've noticed what they decide to do with ballparks, and there's never been anything where someone has said, boy, let's do something for the pitcher that would really help them in their game. You never hear that, ever.
Trying to think if there's ever been one.
I might have a little bias there.
Matt Reynolds lined out to right field in his first big league at bat of the season.
I've had, if I could tell you folks, how many hitters have told me this. Boy, if pitchers weren't stupid, we would never get a hit. 1,000 times I've heard that from hitters.
And do pitchers say the same thing about hitters?
No, they don't. Pitchers have to spend 3 hours of an afternoon throwing the ball in a tin cup from 60 feet, while hitters just swing at whatever they feel like swinging at. Very hard to hit. Not very hard to pitch, too.
And Matt Reynolds has his first big league hit of the season. A 2-out single. So the Mets have their 5th hit against Joe Ross, and now Sean Gilmartin will take a turn at bat. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Mazda. Driving matters. And Sean Gilmartin is not inept when it comes to swinging the bat. Sean is 2 for 6 in his major league career. If I recall correctly, didn't he get his first big league hit in that 18-inning game in St. Louis that made Keith even more famous than he already was?
And he slices one down the left field line. Worth's not going to get it, and it goes to the wall. Reynolds digging for third. He's going to be waved home. Turner's relay throw, not in time. Sean Gilmartin with an RBI double to get the Mets back within 2. Well, now he's 3 for 7.
That's called a little 2-out lightning for the Mets now. A lot of fight in these Mets this afternoon. I used it yesterday on Adam Eaton. Peels this ball down the left field line. Worth was playing in left center, so by the time he got to it, great hustle by Reynolds. Picks up Sherlock. Reynolds got a little more speed than I give him credit for.
Well, the Mets have now scored in each of the first 4 innings. Now Michael Conforto up. Conforto's gone 0 for 2, struck out and popped up.
Well, the relay was good. Turner with a strike to home, just too late.
Fastball strike to Conforto. Movement on that 2-seamer from Ross seems to have Conforto a little confounded so far today.
Yeah, that's the difficult part of the plate for Joe Ross. And as soon as he gets command of that, he'll start to go to the next level.
Conforto lines up, base hit. Here's Gilmartin being waved around third. He'll come in to score, and the Mets pull within a run. It's now 6-5. 3 straight hits after 2 out and nobody on, and Conforto down in the count 0-2, drives in his 13th run of the year.
Well, this Mike we have on the bench, you're getting every player's nickname. Good going, Gilly. Good going, Conforto. Tried to go up and in on Conforto. Ross did not have enough on it, and Harper called the jam off.
You know, Michael looked as though he wasn't picking up the movement on the previous couple of pitches, but Ross tried to go back to the same spot. This is part of the development of Michael Conforto.
He has rare talent. What he makes of it, we'll see as we're watching him the next developing years. But 0-2, try to come up and in. It was not an awful pitch by Ross. Conforto made the adjustment.
Nationals bullpen starts moving around after a trip to the mound by Mike Maddox, the pitching coach. Now the Mets have the tying run at first with 2 down, and Jose Reyes has already tripled today, 1 for 2. Keep in mind, Conforto has already stolen a base in this series, but also Joe Ross has a pretty good pickoff move.
Yeah.
Matt Albers is up in the Nationals bullpen. Remember him?
Triple hitter
with the White Sox last year at Citi Field in extra innings. Who's Hot brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. You didn't think a few days ago we'd be doing a Who's Hot for Jose Reyes, but he is. 9 for 20 over the last 6 games. Moved up to the 2 spot in the batting order today. And he pulls one foul.
A lot of balls been hit by both squads today, right on the nose.
The weather's warming up. So are the bats.
You better get your out of here warmed up, Gary. It's coming.
It's May Day tomorrow. To Reyes. Jay Bruce has already driven in 2 runs today. Would be next. Joe Ross has been tagged for 5 runs and 7 hits across 3 2/3. Had himself a 4-run lead. It's now down to 1 skinny run.
It is a good move. I would say, though, it's not an awful time for Conforto to try to steal a base. If he's thrown out, the worst that can happen is Reyes leads off for you in the next inning.
Ross has given up only 3 stolen bases in 6 tries in his major league career. Weeder sets up inside. And Reyes goes down on the slider to end the inning. 5 strikeouts for Joe Ross, but the Mets creep closer with a couple of 2-out runs. Sean Gilmartin right in the middle of it. They'll go back to the mound with the Mets down by 1. Today we had an unusual play. Jason Worth sliding into second, then got upended by his dribble Cabrera, then continued on to third after Angel Hernandez pointed and appeared to call obstruction, but Worth was not allowed to arrive at third base safely and was tagged out and called out and continued to talk about it with the umpires for well, basically for the rest of the game. So we thought at the time that it should have been obstruction. They should have been awarded third base. What we found out when we were instructed to go deeper into the rule book is that there are basically 2 types of obstruction. Jason Worth pops one in foul ground. Rivera coming to the railing, but he'll run out of room. So the first kind of obstruction is when there's a play being made on the runner as the obstruction happens.
Yes.
And then the umpire will throw his arms up in the air and the runner automatically gets the next base. Here there was not a play directly being made on Worth when the obstruction happened. So Hernandez, the umpire, pointed, which was to say there's obstruction, but there's no automatic granting of the next base.
Which means he has acquired second base. He's fine.
Right. If he hadn't been able to get back to second base safely, if they had tagged him out going back to second, he would have been given second on the obstruction.
The point is he's awarded that base. He's going to have that. But if he moves forward, that's really at his discretion.
He's running at his own risk.
So I was completely wrong. I remembered the play incorrectly from my youth. And Angel Hernandez, you were right. So
and I have to say, Dusty Baker had no idea either.
Well, I talked to Dusty about it too, and he had no idea about the extra addendum, the G part of it. To that rule. There's a G and an H, the H part of that rule. So he didn't know it. Terry Collins, the way he explained it to us this morning, that Worth stopped. I thought he was wrong on that, but
that's
didn't
not
really
true.
stop.
He didn't really stop. Once he got up after the collision with Cabrera, he immediately proceeded on to third.
And I was lucky enough to see Randy Marsh, who's one of my favorite umpires of my day, and he explained it to me, and it made total sense after he explained it. So
Randy Marsh now a supervisor
that's right.
of umpires.
So I apologize for that. Should have got that right.
There is nothing to apologize for. It's one of the more arcane rules in the entire book. And honestly, it's something that in all my years I've never come across before.
Yeah, I haven't either. But thank God it happened in April and not in October.
You mean like the outfield fly rule?
Yes, like that play. It's only one of the few 100 mistakes I'll make this year, folks. So, but I did it with passion. I thought I was very passionate about how right I thought I was about something I was wrong about.
It's nice thing about live TV and a fat rule book is that we'll all get them wrong many dozens times during the season. 8th pitch of the at bat coming to Worth with Harper on deck, and Worth gets a hold of one and pulls it foul into the upper deck. I don't think I've ever seen one hit up there before.
That's right.
On the pull side.
It's called the Mike Laga.
Didn't Laga hit one out of the ballpark against you?
Against me. I threw it. I thought I was going to hit him in the face, and he hit it out of the ballpark at Busch. Mike Laga was known as a credible home run hitter.
Past Gilmartin and into center field, and so Worth wins that battle on the 9th pitch. His second hit of the day.
Worth doesn't even look like the same hitter from the first 2 days when he struggled. Back to working the ball up the middle, and that's Worth at his best.
Well, you said that he's been lobbying to get pushed up to the 2 spot in the batting order.
He loves that spot in the batting order, always has. I remember from his Philadelphia days.
So he's hit 3 balls hard today. He's got 2 hits, and now Bryce Harper comes up with a man on. Harper today has walked and scored a run and grounded out. He walked in the first inning, which was the first walk that Syndergaard has given up this season, and might have been the first sign that something was amiss for Noah. Syndergaard left with 1 out in the second, clutching at the area below his arm. Curveball from Gilmartin misses for ball 1. It was only the second time in his career that Syndergaard's given up 5 runs in 1 inning, and the first time was in this ballpark last year against the Nats, and the winning pitcher that day was Joe Ross.
Wow.
Who's pitching for the Nats today. Fastball strike to Harper, 1-1.
Ross still needs 3 more big outs.
Those have been tough to come by on both sides today. Mets have scored in every inning and yet trail in the game.
Is Harper going to be a free agent after he's 25 years old? Is that where he's going to be, 2018? I believe so.
That's through the hole into right field, a base hit. Worth steams around second. He'll head for third. And the Nats have runners at the corners and nobody out. So Harper has just his second hit in this series.
Well, just finds the right spot. Hits it right at Worth. You know, we're so not used to seeing hits in that hole with all the shifting. Just a fastball down and away, so strong, is able to yank that into right field.
So first and third and nobody out, and Ryan Zimmerman the batter. So Harper began the year as a 4+ player.
Okay.
So that means he'll be a free agent after next year.
Yes.
After 2018.
Yeah.
So if Giancarlo Stanton was worth $325 million, what would Bryce Harper at age 26 be worth?
He's going to want to be the first $40 million a year player. That's what he's going to want to be.
Here's Zimmerman, who's had himself an incredible series. 1 for 2 today. 6 for 10 in the 3 games with 3 homers and 7 RBIs.
He's had an incredible career here too with the Nats, Gary. He's moving up on all the lists.
Well, he just passed Andre Dawson for second on the Washington Montreal home run list. 226 home runs. He's now just 9 behind Vladimir Guerrero for the all-time franchise record.
Guerrero's got the most home runs also, right?
235. The franchise began in Montreal in 1969. They played there until 2004 and then moved to Washington in 2005. Played 3 years at RFK Stadium before moving here in 2008. 0-2 coming, and it's laced down the left field line, foul. Well, this has been quite the series for Zimmerman.
Well, the first home run just got it out, but the ones against Reed have been monumental shots.
And while certainly encouraging for Zimmerman as he continues this incredible start to his season, a little troubling as far as Addison Reed is concerned.
Well, Terry Collins said, you know, all the time he's been here, he's had some down periods, but never has it been the home run ball.
Well, Reed has now allowed 4 home runs this season, which matches the total that he gave up all of last year. Well, Gilmartin fought his way through trouble in the third. He's got even more trouble here in the fourth with the red-hot Zimmerman at the plate and Daniel Murphy on deck. Two and two now to Zimmerman. Gilmartin about to throw the 50th pitch of this relief assignment. And Zimmerman flies one to shallow right, tagging his Worth. Struggling with the sun is Bruce. He makes the catch, but not in position to throw it. And Worth scores easily to make it 7-5 Washington. Bruce had to battle that ball all the way, just make sure he caught the ball. And Zimmerman drives in his second run of the game and his 8th of the series with the sacrifice fly.
Well, you know, it's interesting. We always talk about getting in the right position to throw the ball, and that's catching it if you're a left-hander on your right shoulder, or left shoulder, sorry. But catching it in that way, put it right in direct line with the sun. So he couldn't do that. He had to shift his body.
Not sure if he would have had a play on Worth anyway, but certainly was in no position to even think about it once he caught it that way. So a run home for the Nats here in the fourth to make it 7-5. So there have been 8 half innings in this game, and there have been runs scored in 7 of the 8. Here's Murphy, who has struck out twice today. Struck out swinging against a Syndergaard slider in the first, and then was caught looking on a 3-2 fastball from Gilmartin in the third. One and one to Murph. The Nationals get their bullpen up again. Matt Albers, who was up in the last inning, is throwing again, and they're not toward the bottom of the batting order, which makes you think maybe Dusty Baker's considering taking Ross out after 4 innings. Murphy pulls one through the hole, a base hit. Harper pulls in at second, and so Murphy has his first hit of the day. And the Nats again have 2 men on with Anthony Rendon, who's having a big day coming up.
Boy, double-digit in hits now for the Nationals. Little slider, breaking pitch away, and hit sharply.
First 5 hits against Syndergaard, the last 5 against Gilmartin. And now a big batter for Gilmartin is Rendon, who went 1 for 6 in the first 2 games of the series, has had himself quite a day. Base hit to drive in 2 runs in the first, and then a long home run in the third, his first home run of the season.
I don't think I've seen a game in 4 innings with balls hit this hard this often.
Well, the Nats just came from Coors Field. Maybe they brought a little of that with them. 1 out, and Rendon knocks the mask right off Rene Rivera.
Boy, right off the face of the mask, right like on his left cheek.
want to send our best wishes, by the way, out to C.B. Buckner, a young player who got nailed in the mask the other night and had to be helped off the field.
Caught him right on the chin of that hockey mask that he wears behind the plate.
And that fastball just missed to Rendon. It's a pitch Gilmartin wanted, 1-1. Michael Taylor on deck. Bottom of the order has done damage for the Nats today. Rendon, Taylor, Wieters, Ross. A combined 5 for 5. Harper at second, Murphy at first with 1 out. And that's in the air to deep left center. Back goes Granderson near the wall, and it's out of here. Second home run of the day for Anthony Rendon. This one's a 3-run shot. A 6 RBI afternoon for Rendon, and the Nats now lead it 10-5. First multiple home run game of Rendon's career. The third player in 3 days in this series has done that.
Well, another changeup that stays up in the strike zone. Rendon, I said before, has been struggling with the fastball, and that changeup has just sped up his bat. That pitch has become right in his wheelhouse.
We just got the medical word on Noah Syndergaard. We'll pass that along after this pitch. It is a possible lat strain, is what they're calling it, and he's heading back to New York for an MRI.
Okay.
So that's the information we have. Possible lat strain for Noah Syndergaard, and going back to New York for an MRI. 2-0 to Michael Taylor. So Sean Gilmartin, who was able to elude huge damage in the third inning, finds it here in the fourth. And Fernando Salas is up in the bullpen. So after the Mets reduced a 4-run deficit to 1, the Nats, with this 4-run fourth inning, have built a 5-run lead.
You know how important you are as a player when the numbers of people that come up to give you the diagnosis on a certain player.
It was a contingent, wasn't it?
Poor guy, 25th guy on the bench. They send someone to crowd in with a piece of paper.
You get a text maybe. Here it was meeting at Potsdam. 3-0 to Taylor, and that's a strike 3-1. Taylor's 2 for 2 already today. So what a day for Rendon, huh? Didn't have a home run, 5 RBIs all season coming into the day. 2 home runs, 6 RBIs this afternoon, and it's only the 4th inning. And Taylor lines one the other way. This will stay up for Bruce. And that's the second out. Well, after today, the Mets will head to Atlanta. Their first look at new SunTrust Park, a 4-game series with the Braves. Already the 3rd series of the year between the Mets and the Braves, but the first one on the road. Then the Mets go home to play the Marlins. And then finally, some team that's not from the National League East, as the Giants, who have really been scuffling, come into Citi Field.
They're scuffling. They've got some starting pitchers that are still, you know, got some strengths. Bumgarner, of course, out.
Wieters rips one to the left for a base hit, and the hard hit balls continue against Gilmartin. The 5th hit of the inning. Well, this is where we'll be tomorrow night in suburban Cobb County. SunTrust Park, brand spanking new.
Everyone stays away from the stadium now for the ballparks.
That's a dirty word in baseball.
I thought it was better for down there in Atlanta, SunTrust Stadium, STS, but maybe no. You know what it is? SunTrust Park is STP. They love their NASCAR down there.
I like the parks.
Yeah, you like
parks, fields. It's more bucolic.
Well, the stadiums I played in the 80s were that and mostly awful.
Concrete,
round,
cold,
no real turf,
harsh. cookie cutter.
And they all were dual stadiums, or most of them were, right?
Well, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, St. Louis, Philadelphia. Well, Joe Ross now has a 5-run lead, and he clocks this one down the left field line. That'll go foul. Boy, they're getting some hefty swings in this inning. By the way, he's talking about the Braves. The Braves so far this year, this is their season. They split their first 2 games. Then they lost 5 in a row. Then they won 5 in a row. Then they lost 6 in a row. And now they've won 4 in a row going into their game today in Milwaukee. Go figure. That skips away from Rivera. And Wieters will go down to second base. So the wild pitch moves Wieters into scoring position. Ross already has an RBI hit and a sacrifice today. Now he's got another runner in scoring position. He's the 8th man up in the inning. And he goes down on strikes. And the inning finally comes to a close. But a 4-run 4th for the Washington Nationals. Mets have been taking it on the chin this afternoon, figuratively and literally. I warn you, if you're thinking about, placing bets, this is not today's race that we're showing you. This is it's a feel for the presidents and their presidential races. Sometimes they get a little bit slapsticky. Here's today's race. I always have trouble telling George and Tom apart.
Who never wins? Is it Teddy or Abe?
Teddy for a long time never won, and then they let him win, and now he's back to not winning again. So George won today.
Teddy loved expanding our national parks. I can see why he doesn't win now.
Well, Matt Albers will come on in relief after Joe Ross took the turn at bat in the bottom of the 4th. Albers replaces him as we start the 5th. Jay Bruce has an RBI single and a home run today. When last we saw Matt Albers, who was in a White Sox uniform last year, didn't pitch very well, but he had his moment.
He did.
His extra inning, extra base hit at Citi Field. But he hadn't batted in like 7 years or something.
Scored a triple.
Actually, they gave him a double. It should have been a triple, but they made it third on the throw.
I said it was the best 2 minutes in sports. I think I was shortchanging the horses at Kentucky Derby.
It was his first hit in 9 years. His previous hit had come in 2007 as an Astro. But he was forced into action because the White Sox were out of players in an extra inning game. And, well, he put on a show.
Much traveled relief pitcher, has been just about everywhere.
7th appearance for the Nationals. And so far so good. 7 1/3 scoreless innings after a season last year where he pitched to a 6.31 ERA with the Southsiders.
Joe Ross has got to be kicking himself, getting 10 points here, and he can't come out for the 5th.
Well, how about this? 3 starts for Ross this year. They've scored in double figures for him all 3 times.
15, 14, and now 10, and they're not even done.
And he's only got 1 win for those 3 starts. Last time he got knocked out 1 out shy of qualifying for a win in Colorado. And Bruce strikes out with the fastball. And there's the first out for Albers in the 5th. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Neil Walker, who's been up twice, hit the ball on the ground both times. Neil now 0 for 10 in this series. Another Met who will be thrilled when the calendar flips to May tomorrow.
Yeah.
He and the guy behind him in the batting order, Curtis Granderson, not having Aprils to remember. You know, you forget with Neil Walker that he had surgery for a herniated disc in his back. And you have to wonder if there's some kind of spillover.
I mean, the great thing about Neil is that he never complains. He never talks about it. You know, it seems like anyone who has an injury here with the Mets, we hear it ad nauseum. You never hear it with him because he's just a quiet guy who goes about his business. But I don't know if it's affecting him, but it's got to be part of him getting ready every single day.
Well, and the other question I would ask is, maybe more so for other players, if you are recovering from a back surgery or have a back condition, would you think that the advent of some more consistent warmer weather would help you get ready?
Certainly. I would think that on the offensive end, although he has struggled, that shouldn't be as tough as that ready position 150 to 60 times a game.
Well, you know, we were talking about infield defense yesterday, and there's no question that his range is a little diminished from what it was last year. Certainly the first half of last year.
Listen, the Mets infielders have played in a lot of cold conditions. They've played in a lot of conditions where it's pitcher after pitcher after pitcher standing out there. So far in April, their range has not been what it was in the middle of the year and the end of the year last year. That being said, we'll see what it's like as the weather gets beautiful, and it's supposed to be nice in Atlanta tomorrow, although seasonally kind of cool for Atlanta.
Yeah, normally we go to Atlanta in May, you get 85-degree temperatures. It's not going to be that warm. And Walker strikes out on the fastball away. So Albers takes care of Bruce and Walker in the same fashion. Sunday, May 7th is a McDonald's Family Sunday when the Mets take on the Marlins at 1:10. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a pair of Neil Walker batting gloves presented by WOR 710 AM. Plus, after the game, all kids 12 and under can run the bases in the Mr. Met Dash, courtesy of Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sundays.
Those will be his May batting gloves, Gary. They will be sizzling hot.
The April ones will be in the trash.
Put away.
Curtis is 0 for 2 today, 1 for his last 27, and we talked about April averages and where Curtis is all time. As we mentioned, he's got some decent company there. Cleon Jones and Gary Carter, those are 2 pretty good hitters.
Ellie, if you're looking, Kevin Elster in Las Vegas, if you're watching this game, look away, my friend.
Well, you know, Ellie was a much better offensive player after he left the Mets.
That's right. Still one of the best big shortstops I've ever played with or ever seen play.
Amazing hands, just amazing hands.
He played the position like a 5'10" guy. He was 6'2", all the 6'2". Runs marathons now.
Is that right?
All the time. Crazy about running those marathons.
Good for him. Into center field, and Taylor is there, and so Matt Albers comes in and pitches a 1-2-3 fifth after the Mets had scored in each of their first 4 innings. Halfway through in D.C., 10-5 Nats. Baseball is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Mets Health Report brought to you by Northwell Health. Look north, and this is one you didn't really want to look at. Noah Syndergaard cringed a little bit on that pitch, and then done for the day after that pitch. Possible lat strain is all the Mets are saying. He's going back to New York for an MRI. That on the heels of the biceps tendonitis that pushed his start back. And the MRI not taken will turn into an MRI submitted to. Juan Lagares comes into play center field. He'll bat ninth, and Fernando Salas on to pitch the bottom of the fifth.
Salas was called on to get a lot of important outs in the early part of April, and here kind of trying to hold fort.
Trey Turner leads off in the home fifth. Well, Salas, after being so heavily used the first 3 weeks of the season, hasn't pitched much lately.
He had
once in the last 10 days.
He had a Fernando Nieve kind of first 2 weeks of the year. The thing I remember about Fernando Nieve is that he pitched every day, and then we started asking why he was being pitched every day. Then they started him like 2 days later.
Yep, and that was the beginning of the end. I think he pitched, if I recall correctly, I think this was 2008.
Yeah, in Milwaukee was the start.
Was it 8 or 10? Anyway, it was one of Jerry Manuel's years as well. So it must have been 10.
It's all a blur.
I think he was in 19 of the first 31 games, which is really hard to do. Although I have to say Jerry Blevins is heading in that direction, although he only goes 1 or 2 batters at a time. So it's a little different. 1-2 to Turner. And the changeup misses. 2-2.
I played with Rick Honeycutt, who used to set up for Dennis Eckersley, and he would routinely throw 50 to 75 games a year, but throw like 30 innings.
Right.
Just one batter, 1 and out.
Well, think about the Pedro Feliciano days.
Oh yeah,
he would be in 90 games a season.
Perpetual Pedro, you used to call him. He was great, by the way.
He was fabulous and took the ball every day and just had an incredible attitude.
And every year the arm hurt a little more. He just dropped his arm angle a little more.
Until the Yankees signed him and he couldn't pitch anymore. Then there were some recriminations.
Well, your team started to overuse them, Gary. They overused them there.
Well, did the Yankees not know that they had overused them? I don't understand. 3-2 to Turner with Worth and Harper to follow. And that's line to right field. Bruce heading back, and it's over his glove and up against the wall. Turner pulls into second base with a leadoff double. Jay almost got there, but it beat him. And Turner has his first hit of the day.
I was talking about before the first game of the series, the scary pop that Trey Turner has. Bruce was not playing shallow in right field, and it didn't matter. Turner hit that ball on the line and still beat him for the double. Game of inches kind of deal. Hit the end of his glove.
So the Nats have their 13th hit of the day. Everybody in the starting lineup now has at least one. And here's Jason Worth, who has two. In fact, he's hit 3 line drives today, 2 base hits and a line drive out. He scored 2 runs. Well, the Mets were at least able to put a damper on this powerful Nationals offense the first 2 days. Held them to 8 runs total in the first 2 games of the series. But the Nats averaging 6.1 runs per game this season, and they have certainly shown off the wares today. There's a strike. 0-2. Going into play today, the Nationals leading the majors in runs per game, batting average, on base slugging, second in home runs,
doubles, on and on.
Runner goes, fly ball out to right center. Turner will retreat as Lagares goes over to get it, and that's the first out. So Worth is retired.
Really could have had the rare thing there by Turner if he felt like it. Could have had him stealing third, going back to second and tagging up and taking third. He might have been able to do that if it had been a little deeper.
There aren't too many guys who could do that, but he may be capable.
And folks at home, no issue. It's only 5-0 really, 10-5 Nationals early in the 5th inning. So no issue with the stolen base.
Well, especially with the way runs have been scoring in this game.
There's some people I've heard. People come up to me all the time. I can't believe he was running. They had 10 runs. Yeah, but the Mets have 5. It's close. Closer than you think.
Well, the only thing I would say about that is on a day where the runs seem to be flowing, you certainly don't want to run yourself out of an inning. So it's from that standpoint, not from a rubbing it in standpoint.
But, I mean, he's going to be successful about 85% of the time.
Harper's 1 for 2 in a walk. He scored 2 runs today.
They asked Dusty about that play, by the way, at second base, and what did Angel say to him? He said, no, some jibber jabber, some, I don't know, some stuff he was saying. I couldn't understand what he was saying.
It's okay. He didn't understand it any better than we did. By the way,
but he made the sense. He made sense.
Dusty comes into the day with 1,782 managerial wins, which is 16 behind Bruce Bochy for the most among active managers. And the way the year is going for these two teams, there's every chance that he'll pass Bochy before the end of the year.
Boch has the gravitas, though, because he's got the 3 world championships. Dusty has not won
his first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dusty's had but 9 of his teams have won 90+ games. He has a lot of stuff that has happened for Dusty in season has been remarkable. 3 times manager of the year, but he just hasn't got that ring yet.
He's taken 4 different teams into the postseason.
Got it as a player.
And now 3-0 to Harper with Ryan Zimmerman on deck.
That was our trivia question one day. The 3 managers with the most hits was Dusty, Don Mattingly, and Paul Molitor.
And the Mets are going to hand Harper The no-pitch ball 4. So the second intentional walk the Mets have given out today. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. Here's Zimmerman, who's driven in 2 more runs today with a single and a sacrifice fly. 8 RBIs in the 3-game series, 6 hits and 10 at-bats. Salas works Zimmerman inside.
Hitters on both sides extremely comfortable this afternoon.
Well, Zimmerman looks like he's going to finish the month of April with a better than 400 batting average. He came in at 410 today. He's 1 for 2, so he's up to 412. So there's been only one player in Major League history to finish April with a batting average over 400, at least 11 home runs. He's got 11, and at least 27 RBIs. He now has 29.
Only one other?
Only one other, and that was Larry Walker with the Rockies in 1997. So asterisk for Coors Field and all that. But so Zimmerman not only is having an enormous comeback from a guy with 218 last year, but he's having an historic first month of the season.
I mean, this is a better start and a better player than he's been his entire career in this first month. And he's been a great player.
Now the question is, how quickly will pitchers adjust to his new reality?
You know, we always have to put an asterisk on Todd Helton and, of course, Larry Walker. It just pains me with Larry Walker because I played against him, and you know, one of the most underrated, finest athletes that has ever played the game.
Yeah, he should get more Hall of Fame consideration, because you look at what he did in Montreal, you look at what he did after he left Colorado. He was an amazing player.
Speed, 5-tool guy. He was 5 tools.
And Canadian.
Never met a bad Canadian yet. Still searching.
And you went to a hockey game last night.
We should have seen the. I mean, that just emboldened how I feel.
Zimmerman pops one foul. Now, why do you say that?
Everybody that was there was a hockey fan. Half of them were Canadian. They were all in suits, dressed beautifully. Everyone asked me and Greg Picker, our producer, where would you like to sit? Oh, here, have my chair. I'll stand up. Oh, the bathroom's there. Oh, you guys are leaving? Let me walk you all the way outside of the ballpark and get you a taxi. I mean, it was unbelievable. Remember, I used to be treated like that.
You don't get that. You don't get that in New York.
No,
come on. No. You should.
No, I mean, maybe I do, but you know.
But not as a matter of course.
Well, no, it's the delivery. The delivery in New York will be a little different.
You need a cab?
Yeah, the Canadian delivery.
Right. 2-2 to Zimmerman with Murphy on deck. And it's fouled back. Well, I mean, hockey is one thing, but have you ever been around curling?
I have been around. I've curled before.
Have you curled?
In Calgary.
Wow.
Yes, I have.
You can handle the stone?
I can handle the stone. I've had the brush. I've done everything you can, all of them, albeit poorly, but I did try to curl.
That's very impressive.
It was awesome, to tell you the truth.
Now, I've watched, and I really love watching curling, but I've never participated. We'll have to get out there on the sheet sometime.
We will. There's a lot of back and forth talking too between the participants.
Well, there's a lot of, you know, there's a keg involved too.
Well, I wasn't lucky enough to have a group who had a keg.
Fastball inside, full count to Zimmerman.
The thing for Zimmerman is that healthy, Will he be able to sustain it? He's always suffered some injuries. The major part of ones have been to his shoulder, but you know, he's on one of those years where he's trying to restart a brilliant career.
And Rivera calls time.
You know, we were talking about it yesterday with Zach Wheeler and Travis d'Arnaud were having a struggle with the guy on second. With signs, delivery of signs, how quick you get the signs. I don't know if they have a paranoia, the Mets and their pitchers, on whether the Nationals are trying to steal signs or. But it lends itself to a slow ball game.
Turner at second, Harper at first with one out, 3-2 to Zimmerman. The runners go, and Zimmerman fouls back the fastball. So Turner and Harper were both on the move.
Rivera coming out now and giving the signs. Sometimes what base he might throw to. If there's a strikeout, he might be more apt to go to second base than he would be at third base because of the speed of Turner.
They run again, and Zimmerman grounds one to Reynolds. He'll have to go to first with it in time to get Zimmerman for the second out as the runners move up.
So Dusty has picked every single time to run correctly, hasn't he, in the series? That's probably an inning-ending double play.
And the Mets will give 4 intentional balls without throwing a pitch to Daniel Murphy. I'm still getting used to this, Ronnie. I can't tell you how many times this year already I've looked down at my scorecard and all of a sudden there's a guy going to first base.
I know.
The timing of it is a little odd.
Well, that's it. I think what happens is that when the player comes up, you and I are looking into our scorecard to get prepared for who's up, you know, how to hit against a certain pitcher, all that kind of stuff. And by the time we look up, the bases are loaded when they weren't 3 seconds ago.
So that's 3 intentional walks the Mets have handed out, 2 in this inning. And that's to bring up Anthony Rendon, who's already driven in 6 runs today. Two-run single in the first, home run in the third, 3-run homer in the fourth, and now up with the bases loaded in the fifth. Major league record RBIs in a game.
Yes.
12. Big cut. 0-1.
Fred Lynn?
No, I think he had 11.
Okay.
Jim Bottomley, Mark Whitten was the last to do.
4 home runs that day?
4 home runs,
okay.
12 RBIs in Cincinnati. Second game of a doubleheader, if memory serves. Hard hitting Mark Whitten. Yeah. So he can't get to 12 in this at bat, but it's only the 5th inning.
It's a ways to go.
Slices one foul, and it's 0-2. Salas gave up a leadoff double to Turner, so he's been in trouble every step of the way in this inning.
That game Lynn had in Tiger Stadium, 3 home runs, 10 RBI, 16 total bases in that game.
Remember the game Sean Green hit 4 home runs. He had 19 total bases, a double and a single, way up high, 1 and 2. Think about driving in 12 runs. You're very dependent on your teammates being in the right spots.
They've been very obliging today for Rendon.
Nats have 13 hits. They've drawn 5 walks, 3 of them intentional. Salas ahead, 1 and 2. And it's a little high. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You know what the nature of this game means as Rivera takes another trip to the mound. It means that Keith will get to Atlanta before we do.
Really?
Well, he's in West Palm, right? Coming up from Florida to meet us in Atlanta. And I think we would have gotten there before him, but now he's going to beat us.
Well, I assume the way the season's gone so far, we're in the 3.5, 4 hour range every day.
Right. Well, this game's already approaching 2.5 hours, and we're in the 5th inning. So do the math. 2-2 coming. And Rendon flies one to deep right center. Back goes Lagares near the wall, and it's off the fence. Turner is in. Harper scores. Zimmerman is in. 9 RBIs for Anthony Rendon. And it's 13-5 Washington.
Well, they had the conference, decided what they wanted to throw. They went with fastball away. And Rendon now has gone coast to coast. Home run to left field, home run to center field, double off the top of the wall to right center. Gets that backspin going on that baseball, and that's why it carried. Lagares thought that he had it off the bat, but it just carried out of his reach.
Well, now he really does have a chance for an historic day. 9 RBIs in the first 5 innings. There's Michael Taylor. So he'll get at least one more at bat. And the curveball in the dirt, and that'll move Rendon over to third. The third wild pitch of the day by 3 different Met pitchers. The 9 RBIs by Rendon is a record for the Nats since they moved to Washington. Have to check to see if any Expo ever had 9 RBIs in a game. And now it's confirmed it is a franchise record. No Expo ever had 9 RBIs in a game. So Rendon is alone in the franchise record book with his 9. Which is the same as the Mets club record, which we got to see at Yankee Stadium.
It's Carlos Delgado.
9 RBIs. Salas' 30th pitch of the inning coming up. And a foul tip. That one is held by Rivera for strike 3. And the inning comes to an end. But Anthony Rendon continues his historic day. 3 RBI double makes it 13-5. Here's your Ford Mets box score. Jay Bruce with an RBI single and a home run. Sean Gilmartin had an RBI double. Rene Rivera hit his first home run of the year, but the Mets have been outscored by 8. They've been outscored by 4 just on Anthony Rendon's RBIs.
Did we adopt the WBC rules? We didn't, right? For the regular season?
No, there's no blowout rule. So T.J. Rivera will lead off for the Mets in the 6th, and I have another piece of bad news for you.
Okay. This has been a day of bad news, to tell you the truth.
I just wanted to let you know that we left the baseball cards in Flushing.
Oh, we got to get something on the road, Gary, that we can bring that's small, compact.
T.J. Rivera has been up twice, struck out both times. Matt Albers pitching his 2nd inning, and Rivera grounds one out to Rendon. He's doing everything perfectly today. 1 out. 4 for 4, a single, a double, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs in the first 5 innings. 37 players in history have had 9 or more RBIs in a game, and he's got a chance to do better than that.
How many people have had a cycle with two bombs? That can't be many.
I don't know if he's legging out too many triples, but we'll see.
He will if he gets a chance, I'll tell you that.
He'll have the Eric Valent cycle,
yes,
where he hit the ball and he just kept on running. It didn't, because I think the Mets were up by 10 at the time, so he didn't care if he got thrown out at 3rd.
When I was first in the Mets farm system, when I was just first traded for, and I did my press conference with the great Jay Horowitz, and there seemed like 1,000 reporters in the front of Huggins Stengel Stadium in St. Petersburg. I was immediately whisked over to 66th Street, where the minor league facilities were, and they had a player over there. His name was Sergio Beltre, and he was one of the finest athletes I've ever seen. Maybe 6'4". You know, Yasiel Puig, that's who he looked like.
Really?
And he could fly, and he could hit, and he could throw. The only thing he couldn't do is when he hit the ball, he didn't know that you kind of have to stop at the bases where you're supposed to stop. He would just run until they would tag him out. And
like a little league.
And they could never teach him.
That could be a problem. That's a low bridge into center field. Albers fortunate to get out of the way, and Rene Rivera has his 2nd hit of the day.
What's the chances of hitting a BB off the second base bag? Not good, right? Do we have that shot, guys? I think it hit the second base bag.
Better the bag than the pitcher's skull. Ooh. That was quite a pinball shot.
I mean, should be no shot at that. But thank God that Albers got out of the way.
So 1 out and 1 on for Matt Reynolds, who's hit the ball hard twice in his first big league game of the year. A line out to right and a single to center. Juan Magares is hitting in the 9-hole. He's on deck. So we checked the record book, and there are only 2 players in history who've driven in 12 in a game. And we mentioned them: Jim Bottomley with the Cardinals in 1924, and Mark Whitten for the Cardinals in 1993. And that's it. And that's the record that Rendon will be shooting for. Now, you know, unless the Mets stage a big comeback in the game, he only has 3 more innings to do it in.
So 1 at bat, maybe.
Maybe
unless they keep going.
Right.
That's up to the Mets relief pitchers, I guess. See Mr. Smoker out there getting loose.
I mean, you know, from Rendon's perspective, he can't get from 9 to 12 one at a time. He's going to need help. Two and 2 to Reynolds.
I mean, what's interesting to me is that Rendon really hasn't been Rendon yet. So maybe in one day he can change all that has happened in April, which has not been good for him offensively, and kind of change it around in just one day.
Well, I'll tell you this, he's changed his April numbers drastically on the last day of April.
That's what I mean.
I mean, I don't know if it carries over into May. But you know, when you go to his splits next year to look at how he did in April, it'll look far different than it would have if the month ended in 29 days.
So true. He's too good of a player to keep down too far. Good offensive player. He's a Rice guy, isn't he?
Yes, he is. On the outside corner, Reynolds is caught looking. That's the second out. Third strikeout in relief for Albers.
The ball was supposed to be in, but ended up being away and catching the corner.
So now Juan Lagares will bat for the first time. Came in on a double switch. Lagares had an at bat yesterday and flied out. It's been a rough beginning at the plate for Juan, just 3 for 22.
You know, the last, I don't know, half a season when I've watched Juan play, and it's hard because it's been stops and starts for him because of the injuries. I started to think about him a little bit like Carlos Gomez. And Carlos Gomez spent much of his early career working with hitting coaches, trying to put the ball on the ground, line drive, and then he just decided to change his whole way of hitting the way he hit before, transformed his career.
Second cycle last night. 13-5 Nats in the 6th. Brought to you by Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram. Where are we looking here? Just some folks hanging out.
Well, probably the view over that maybe might be the Anacostia River. Did you see across the place now they have like a beer garden where people can go over? A dog park?
You know, the Anacostia, as Josh Smoker is on the mound for the Mets, the Anacostia was always the, the looked down upon river in D.C. You know, Potomac is what people think of.
Potomac's so famous.
But the Anacostia was kind of like, it was an afterthought. Now, the Anacostia is making a comeback.
Well, part of it is, I mean, how much have they built around this stadium? You know, a lot of stadiums talk about how they're going to make around the ballpark beautiful and nice, and this ballpark has really done it. There's a lot of places to eat and hang out, and
well, they've put up a lot of new construction all around the ballpark here, which wasn't here when they first opened it. Matt Wieters leading off for the Nats. Well, there's always the hot dog at the ballpark.
I like to see that the mustard, no ketchup going on that.
Not a very smooth delivery, but still 2-1 to Wieters. But they're also building a lot of hotel space, condos out in the outfield, and there's some of them out there. So far, though, they have not blocked our view of the Capitol. And my fear is that at some point somebody's going to build something that's going to mess that up. Wieters cracks one deep to left, and that's way out of here. And the national carnage continues. Wieters' second home run of the series, his third of the year, and it's now 14-5 Washington. He almost hit it to the Capitol. That's his first right-handed home run of the season. So the Nats, who had a fun 4 days in Coors Field, are putting up Coors Field type numbers in their own ballpark. Chris Heisey pinch hitting and takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Well, from my angle, Gary, there's a crane right between me and the Capitol building. So if they build something there, we could be in trouble. We'll just see the top of the Capitol.
Yeah, I'm looking at that same yellow crane now. That's pulled in the hole. Reyes on the backhand makes the off balance throw. One hop, and nice pick by TJ Rivera to get the out.
Nice range by Reyes there with the quick snap throw. Give Rivera some time to kind of get himself in the position to handle this one hopper. Had a little spin on it, so it came back to him. Nice play by TJ. He's handled himself nicely over there.
He really has. He had a couple of tough plays yesterday on balls hit to his left and right, and there a nice pick on an offbeat hop. But the other piece of that is Reyes. I mean, we talked yesterday about infield defense, and just threw around the possibility that maybe the Mets would consider switching Reyes and Cabrera. I mean, just watching the 2 or 3 plays Jose has made today, the comfort level watching him play at short compared to third is, I mean, it's completely different.
Yeah, it's my opinion again. In talking to no one, I would be surprised if Reyes is not at short at some point. That is his position, and he plays better there. And I'm talking about injuries. You got to make this play, Jose. I'm talking about you. Okay, cool. Struvel's just been slowed up a little by all the injuries that he's incurred the last couple of years.
And of course, the caveat there is that whoever plays shortstop is playing it until Ahmed Rosario is ready to come up. Now, whether that's in a month, at the All-Star break, September, or next season, at some point, everybody in the organization expects Rosario to be the shortstop for the foreseeable future. And whoever is playing there for now is playing as a placeholder.
Have you heard anyone describe Rosario as a player that they think he's like another player? Because he's not a Correa, because Correa has all that power in Houston. He's not a Lindor, who's a pinch switch hitter, and he's got some pop too, and probably more, I don't know, fancier than Rosario.
I think Rosario is considered top of the shelf fielding wise.
Yes, yeah.
And I think they think he's going to have some power because he's not a little guy.
He is. He's tall. He's, tall and skinny.
He's kind of Reyes, built like Reyes. Yeah. Maybe a little broader,
a little taller than Reyes, though, right?
So they do think he'll hit for some power. He's hitting 300 in AAA. You have to watch a guy every day to really get a feel for that. 2-2 to Worth. Full count to Worth. Josh Smoker, former Nationals #1 draft pick. despite the leadoff home run against him today, has been a very pleasant surprise for the Mets. He misses with a changeup for ball 4. And Worth is on base for the 3rd time. So now Bryce Harper. Harper's been on base 3 times today. 2 walks, 1 of those intentional. And a base hit in the 4th inning. He scored 3 runs today. The Mets 5 runs and 8 hits. The Nationals 14 runs and 15 hits. Regardless of what the final score is today, and regardless of what Anthony Rendon winds up doing, the headline from the day comes from the exit in the 2nd inning of Noah Syndergaard, leaving what the Mets described as a possible lat strain and going back to New York for an MRI.
Strain has been the word of the week.
Well, when your best offensive player and your best pitcher both go down in the course of a week, it certainly puts a strain on everybody.
Yeah, right. I would think because Harper's hitting here in the bottom of the 6th, Dusty could have an option of replacing some of his regulars in this blowout.
He got under that one to right field. Bruce shading his eyes as he goes, and Lagares comes over, and Lagares makes the catch. Bruce had no idea where the ball was. Fortunately, Lagares was in the area. Matt Wieters with the 3rd home run of the day for the Nationals. His 2nd in this series. 14-5 Nats after 6.
The 7th with the Nationals and Mets in a slugfest. Nationals winning 14-5 so far, so that pushes people to the concourse to relax, get something to eat on a beautiful summer day here in Washington. The Mets have the top of the order coming up here in the top of the 7th, and the Nationals have brought in the ex-Met Oliver Perez.
I want to know what the culinary options are like, because if we're going to be here for 4 or 5 hours,
yeah,
we're going to have to do a better job of importing some sustenance.
You know, every place has their food. What would be DC's food, or this area's food? Is
you
it
mean
the blue crab,
like cheese steak in Philadelphia,
yeah,
the garlic fries in San Francisco?
There you go. What
the toasted grasshoppers in Seattle,
toasted ravioli in St. Louis.
Michael Conforto leads off and takes a strike. Well, if we were in Baltimore, we'd say, crabs,
right?
Either the crab cakes or the blue crabs with the mallets.
If we can get Tracy, our stage manager, off the phone, maybe she can help us out since she's a local here. No, she said no. She's not interested.
See, they have helping you out. Not after that.
I know.
Tracy's got self-respect.
Ollie appearing for the second time in the series. Worked the 7th inning on Friday night and got around a hit and a walk. 0-2 to Conforto, and he goes down on 3 pitches, and that's the first out of the inning. You know, DC is such an eclectic place because it draws from every part of the country, so you know, you can find anything you want here.
I know when I worked here in 2005, you can get everything here from some unbelievable restaurants that did such fine Southern cooking, you know, to one of my favorite restaurants was an Egyptian restaurant, which I've never eaten in before or since.
I mean, if you go out on the concourses here, they've got a lot of, you know, Citi Field rip-offs like Shake Shack.
Oh, you rip-off?
Well, you know, Citi Field had them first, and then they added them here. They liked what they saw, and they decided to be just like Citi Field, which is, you know, become well known for its culinary output.
We even have a Shake Shack next to our hotel now, which is very interesting.
Yes, they do. Good breaking ball by Ollie to get ahead on Reyes. 1-2. Reyes a triple in 3 at bats today. Matt Alvarez gave the Nationals 2 scoreless innings in relief after Joe Ross went the first 4, so Alvarez probably will be in line to get a win today, with Ross failing to go the required 5 for a starter to win. Ollie with a little more machination than usual.
Oh, he can turn it on.
Sometimes he thinks he's Louis Tiant. Remember how Tiant used to turn his back and then give a couple of wiggles, then turn and throw the ball to the plate.
And it always depended a little bit on the score, right? If they had a comfortable game, he would give a little more of a show.
Got to keep the folks interested, right? Reyes pops one foul, and Wieters will watch it sail out of play. Well, the Mets entered the day hoping to pull off a 3-game sweep here in D.C. Something the Mets have only done twice since this stadium opened. They swept a 3-game series in 2008 and another one, more importantly, in September of 2015. A truly memorable series where the Mets came from behind in all 3 games. Popped foul off the right side. Zimmerman hoping has room and makes the grab. 2 out. Well, the Mets are playing their first 32, actually it's 31 against the National League East. They had a rainout, and so far 10-13, whereas the Nats against the East are 11-6. And you see, last year the Mets were only 4 games over 500 against the division, while the Nats were 26 games over 500 and thus won the National League East. Jay Bruce has an RBI single and a home run today. And he laces this one to right center field, and that's down for a base hit. Taylor cuts it off deep. Bruce will try for 2, and Jay slides in safely with a double, his 3rd hit of the day. So Bruce with a double against the left-hander.
Well, Jay Bruce came to play today. Another ball down, and he finds a hole. Those pants might stay riding high for a couple more days. Good hustle from home plate to second. Getting beat by 9 runs. Still playing baseball. Kind of like that.
Neil Walker 0 for 11 in this series, struck out his last time up. And slider in for a strike, 1-1. Well, Josh Smoker out of the on deck circle. Looks like Terry for the moment doesn't want to go any deeper into his bullpen. And now it's 1-2 to Walker. Did I just hear what I thought I heard? Led Zeppelin between pitches?
In between pitches.
Wow. In the air, center field. Taylor back. Has it lined up and gets it going away to retire the side. A Jay Bruce double and one left. 7th inning stretch. A look at the National Cathedral. Talk about great architecture.
Yes! His 4th home run of the game. He has 12 RBIs.
That was September 7th, 1993. Hard-hitting Mark Whitten tying the Major League record with 12 RBIs in a game in Cincinnati. Those are the most RBIs anybody's ever had in a game. Jim Bottomley and Mark Whitten each with 12. Phil Weintraub with the Giants during the Warriors in '44. Tony Lazzari, who has the American League record of 11. In fact, there are only a dozen players who have ever reached double digits in RBIs in a game. And Anthony Rendon will have a crack at that when he comes up here in the 7th. He's the 3rd man up. Zimmerman and Murphy in front of him. 9 RBIs for Rendon, a new franchise record for the Expos Nationals franchise. And a chance to put himself into history with another one. Gets Citi Field Saturday, May 6th when the Mets play the Marlins at 7:10. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Noah Syndergaard hair hack courtesy of Majestic. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Ryan Zimmerman will lead off in the 7th against Josh Smoker, who gave up a home run to Matt Wieters in the 6th. The Nats have scored in every inning but one. Ironically enough, the inning they didn't score was the inning Syndergaard left because of injury, and Zimmerman starts the inning by hitting one to the base of the fence in left center. He races for second. Lagares' throw comes in too late, and Zimmerman is aboard with a leadoff double as his fantastic series continues. 7 for 12 now in the 3 games.
You know, it's not only that Zimmerman's hitting the ball, but just the authority that he's hitting the baseball. And we saw home runs to right field, home runs to left, now a double to left center.
Well, that means unless Murphy hits one out of the ballpark, Rendon will have at least one base runner on in front of him. Murphy at the plate, Rendon on deck. Murphy is 1 for 3 in a walk today. He scored 2 runs. 16 Washington hits now. And the Mets continue to work Murph inside. They've tried to do that these last couple of days with a little better success than they've had against Murph prior. And that time way inside, and he gets undressed.
Kenyan Murphy, as he sees the ball coming. Listen to this, folks.
Well, you said it earlier today, and it bears repeating.
I've been waiting 2 years for this.
Yep. No intent to hurt him, only to move him off the plate. Make it a little more uncomfortable. And the slider off the plate, 2-1. Anthony Rendon waiting on deck, trying to make some history. Murphy slams one to left center, and that's an extra base hit. It'll go to the wall. Zimmerman will score easily. Murphy trades places with him with an RBI double. I'd say respond to a dust-off.
Yeah, that's the best answer you can have if you Murph.
15-5 Washington, and now Rendon coming up.
Fastball is supposed to be away. It's middle. That's really what's happened all day long for these Mets pitchers. They've been down the middle. I guess I should put in context what I was talking about Murph. When Lenny Dykstra was traded away from the Mets to Philadelphia, he was a very popular player with all of his teammates. And I remember the first time I faced him, I knocked him down twice. And it wasn't against Lenny. It wasn't because I was trying to knock him down. I just needed to get away from that friendship with Lenny and into Lenny the opposition mode. It worked for me.
And now Rendon takes one inside. Anthony Rendon's day, a 2-run single in the first, a solo homer in the third, a 3-run homer in the fourth, and then a 3-run double in the fifth. The last player to drive in 10 runs in a major league game was Garrett Anderson with the Angels in 2007. And Rendon is one shy of that. He's got Murphy at second with nobody out. And Rendon fouls it back, 1-1.
Garrett Anderson, a sweet swinging left-handed hitter, holds a lot of the records for the California Los Angeles Angels. Which way you want to go? Got his first hit off a old right-hander from the Oakland A's, Ron Darling.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, you weren't alone.
He's a good player.
1-1 from Smoker to Rendon, and it sits high, 2-1. Oh, by the way, Rendon also has never had a 5-hit game, which he has a chance for. And he's never had a cycle, which he has a chance for. Probably less likely.
You need some odds on that, by the way, especially last at bat.
The cycle?
The triple.
When you need the triple?
Yeah.
It never happens. I mean, it happens, but I mean, it's...
Turner did it in Colorado,
right.
But you don't count Colorado because that's where all the cycles happen.
Because there's just so much space out there in the outfield. Lead the world in triples. And that one sails away, and Rivera fortunate to keep that from going to the backstop. Well, if you're a baseball fan, the last thing in the world you want to see here with a walk.
That's right. I want to see mano a mano. See Smoker throw his best effort and see Rendon take a shot.
It might be his last at bat of the day. And he had a good cut at that, but fouled it back 3-2.
My Sharona in between pitches now.
So we've had Led Zeppelin and the Knack.
Very random.
Back to back.
What's next? The Cure? New Order? Smiths?
It's been a good music day here in this ballpark, I have to say. All the way from pregame. 3-2 to Rendon.
Change up ripped into left field. A base hit. Murphy, though, got a slow start, and he's going to stop at third. So no RBI for Rendon. Only his 5th hit of the day. His first career 5-hit game.
You think Murph didn't know there was history on the line there?
I think there's a couple things happening here. One, he didn't know there was history on the line. Two, it gets to these games where the players play base to base because they don't want to abuse the privilege and keep scoring runs. But he absolutely did not know that was history, or he would have got on his horse and scored that run.
So Rendon will settle for the 5-for-5, 2-home run, 9 RBI day. Not bad. And maybe he gets another at bat. Meanwhile, things not going well for Josh Smoker. 3 straight hard hits to start this 7th inning. And now Michael Taylor, who's 2-for-4 today. 18 hits now for Washington. And another good cut.
I've honestly never seen so many back of the heels swinging as you've seen from the Nationals today. Very happy to be up at the plate. And the results you can see.
It's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Scott, and the Pix 11 News team with breaking news as it happens, plus all the latest weather and traffic. 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, New York's very own. Double play ball booted by Reyes. A run comes home, and it's 16-5. Just as we were extolling Reyes for his shortstop play, he boots a routine ground ball.
That's me for opening my big mouth. Jose got a little in-between hop here, and the ball came up just enough and hit on the heel of his glove and wasn't able to make up for that little hop with his hands.
Give an RBI to Taylor, but it's an error on Reyes, allowing Taylor to reach. Still nobody out. 2 runs home here in the 7th. And now Matt Wieters, who homered his last time up. His 2nd of the series and his 1st as a right-hand batter this season. The Nats have faced very little left-handed pitching. In fact, only 1 left-handed starter in their first 25 games.
But they're wearing them out, though, right?
When they have faced them, yeah. And that's drilled to deep center field. Racing back, Lagares near the wall, and that's gone. Wieters with his 2nd home run of the day. This one a 3-run shot. And the Nats just keep on pounding. It is 19-5 Washington. Well, Wieters started this series with 1 home run for the season. He has hit 3 now in this series. 5 runs home here in the 7th. And who's Terry Collins going to come out and get? Kevin Plawecki is going to pitch for the Mets.
Yes. That's the right move. Don't waste any more bullpen. Have a player come in and dipsy-doodle him for an inning in the 3rd.
So the Mets, for the first time this season, will send a position player to the mound, and Kevin Plawecki will be called upon to pitch. It's called to the bullpen, sort of. Brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. More science, less fear. Good luck, Kevin. We'll learn what it feels like on the other end of the battery. First time in his professional career he has pitched. This is what happens when you get blown out. 19-5. Nobody out in the 7th inning, so there are still 6 outs for the Mets to get. As Plawecki takes them out, and he will face Rafael Bautista, who will make his major league debut. So 2 guys in new places. Bautista, who was just called up when Adam Eaton went on the disabled list this weekend. Had a good spring training with the Nats. And Plawecki's first pitch is hammered to center field, but Lagares is there, and he makes the grab. And so on his first pitch in the major leagues, Kevin Plawecki records an out.
Well, I was able to research the sabermetrics and analytics book on high school pitchers as the crowd gives the new national a hand. Yeah, there's a book on high school pitchers in the 90s. And Plawecki made it. He's got a kind of a mediocre fastball, a roundabout slider, but he shows a lot of composure.
Now, did they turn the radar gun off? Or did the Nats bust it earlier in the day? So we're not getting a reading on Plawecki, but he is working fast. And Turner flies one out to deep right center. Lagares back near the wall, and he makes the catch. So Plawecki has learned quickly to use the big part of the ballpark.
No, he's known how to use Lagares. That's who you use. Oh, he makes it look so easy. That's not an easy catch, folks. It just makes it look simple. There's a lot of nerves, folks, for the players that I've played with that have to pitch in a game. And after the game, when you ask them, they'll tell you that they never have felt so nervous in their life than to be out there throwing.
Now, my recollection, this is Wilmer Defoe pinch hitting, is that the last Met position player who pitched was
Rob Johnson.
In Toronto, right?
Yeah, the catcher Rob Johnson pitched.
Now, the Mets went 30 years into their history without a single position player ever taking the mound. First time it ever happened was in 1992 when Bill Pacoda went to the mound in Pittsburgh.
Oh, wow.
First ever. And there have been a number since.
How did he project that day?
Well, if you remember that, right, because that became the moniker for the projection system. No, the word on Bill Pacoda when the Mets picked him up is that New York was going to love Bill Pacoda, and they loved him for his pitching. But Matt Franco, Derek Bell, Todd Zeile, they've all pitched for the Mets, position players. In the air to right field, Bruce has had trouble with the sun all day. He gets back to the wall and makes the catch. Well, Kevin Plawecki used the entire ballpark to get 3 outs. 3 fly balls, all caught. ERA of 0. And he may have 3 more outs to get. We are through 7. Plawecki's mound debut thus far a roaring success. never pitched before as a professional. That would be Kevin Plawecki.
He's a fly ball pitcher, I heard, too.
I know that. I've seen about 1,200 feet worth of fly balls get caught. And now he's going to get a turn at bat in the pitcher spot. So if he gets a hit here, does it count for the Mets pitcher's hitting statistics?
No.
Wilmer Defoe playing second base. Rafael Batista in left. Joe Blanton will pitch the top of the 8th.
Blanton had a career year in the bullpen last year. He is trying to get on track so far this season.
Plawecki had a pinch hit single in the game Friday night that helped the Mets win a game. Now he bats as a pitcher for the first time ever. By the way, I was running down the mental list of Met pitchers who've gone to the position players who've gone to the mound. The best by far that we ever saw was Desi Relaford. Desi, who was a career infielder.
He threw hard, though, right?
He threw like 93 miles an hour. And it was when Bobby Valentine was managing, and he was so good that Bobby said in all seriousness that he might use Relaford again in a spot that, you know, had a little more leverage to it. Never did, but he said he might.
Well, it's interesting. The Padres started the season with Christian Bethancourt,
right,
who not only was playing outfield, catcher, which is his natural position, but also pitched in a few games, although now he's been sent down to AAA.
Well, there was the curious case of Brooks Kieschnick.
That's right.
Who was a pitcher slash outfielder a few years ago.
Micah Owings, who was a pitcher, but they would use him to pinch hit a lot. They weren't, and I think at the end of his career, when the pitching was done, he tried to come back as a hitter, but didn't quite work out.
Well, nobody knows about, as Plawecki strikes out just like a pitcher.
It's
one out. Nobody knows about position players going to the mound better than Terry Collins, who was called upon to do that multiple times in his minor league career.
I think he had a back-to-back outing, in fact, in the minor leagues. I love the story that it was Terry and Dave Wallace were the manager and pitching coach of some AAA team, and they had a week very similar probably to the Mets have had this week with so many injuries that Terry Collins and Wallace, I think the second game of a doubleheader, had to suit up and put themselves on the active roster and play for the next couple days till they could get reinforcements.
Terry pitched in 3 games in the Eastern League and then 3 more games in the Pacific Coast League. Broken bat. Defoe makes the play and gets Rivera for the second out. In fact, in the course of those 6 appearances, Terry had 3 saves.
Really?
Yes.
So they ran out of pitchers and he had to get the last 3 outs, or couldn't have been used as a closer. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, sometimes you just do what you got to do.
Yeah, yeah. Saying those
Terry's career pitching line in those 6 appearances: 9 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts. So he had a career earned run average in the minor leagues of 1.0.
He's been looking for an outing from his starting pitchers for his entire tenure here like that.
But so far, Plawecki even better.
Yes.
ERA of 0, and discussing how he's going to pitch the next inning.
The key for the everyday pitcher, everyday starter who's being asked to pitch, is that they throw below the hitting speed. That's what they say. Is that it's hard for the hitters because anyone who throws that slow, they're not used to it. Especially Syndergaard started the game at 100.
See, now I don't necessarily buy that, because I watched Derek Bell pitch in San Diego one day.
Yeah. The
gun was getting him at 63 miles an hour, and they were hitting rockets all over the field.
What happens usually is that, how does a guy get on the mound? Well, you know, Plawecki's a bench guy, so he's the perfect choice. But you usually have a lot of guys that mouth off all the time that they used to be a great pitcher. They could pitch in the major leagues easily. I've told the story, so pardon me if you've heard it. But Darryl Strawberry used to ride Dwight Gooden all the time. He said, Dwight, You know, everyone thinks you're great. I can throw 100 miles an hour too, but I also can hit home runs. You can't, although Dwight could. We're in Montreal one day on an off day having batting practice. Someone had a gun. So he said, Darryl, put up or shut up. Let's see how fast you can throw. And we were going to honestly give him, if he threw 88, we were going to put our hands up and say, you know, you're right. You don't pitch. If you throw 88, well, he never broke 80. And he missed a few days because of a sore arm because he threw off the mound. It's not that easy.
Rene Rivera hits one down the line. That'll hook and go foul. Well, I mean, the most documented case of a position player going to the mound and getting himself hurt was Jose Canseco
with the knuckleball.
Wound up on the disabled list after taking the mound. Isn't that Fenway Park?
Yeah,
if I recall correctly.
Ball off the head for a home run.
Well, that's a whole other story. By the way, we just passed the anniversary, speaking of memorable plays, of the Kevin Mitchell barehanded catch.
Oh, really?
In the left field corner.
I didn't know that happened so early. In St. Louis, in a Giant uniform. And I know Mitch was asked, and he said, when did you decide to catch it barehanded? He said, well, I don't know. I was just running, and barehanded seemed the way to go. You have to know Kevin Mitchell. He never needed a glove anyway.
Rivera strikes out. 1-2-3 inning for Joe Blanton. And we'll see what Kevin Plawecki has left in the tank as we go to the bottom of the 8th. The 2-0, and Tracy hits it in the air. This one's playable for Eric Young. So after giving up the 2-run homer, Recker gets 3 fly ball outs. He did what he was supposed to do. He saved the bullpen an inning. See, now we had forgotten about Anthony Recker pitching.
Did you see his reaction? He was just like, wow, thank God I got through that.
So that was the last time a Met position player went to the mound. That was 4 years ago. Now, I don't ever remember a guy going more than 1 inning. Bryce Harper drives one back toward the wall, and that ball is out of here. Well, 1 fly ball too many given up by Kevin Plawecki, and the Nationals have an even 20. 9th home run of the year for Harper, and the 4th home run, and the 5th home run for the Nats this afternoon.
Can't really high five on that one, can you?
No mercy.
No, there isn't. You know what, though? Put his head down, ran around the bases.
Now Ryan Zimmerman has 2 more hits and 2 more RBIs today. It is interesting watching catchers pitch, though, because you think about Jason Mott, who used to be a catcher, very much like Plawecki, throws kind of like a catcher.
Yeah, just a real short arm, throw strikes.
And Zimmerman has his third hit of the day. So when Plawecki does his post-game interviews, will he talk about how he tightened up between innings?
Yeah, you know, that's the thing, is that he's going to be very disappointed that Terry sent him back out there after having to pitch a whole inning.
So the Nationals, last time they had 20 more runs, they weren't the Nationals. They were the Expos.
By the way, Rendon's coming up again.
That's right. So he might have a chance to further his RBI total. Already 5 for 5 with 9 RBIs today. Meanwhile, Adam Lind is pinch hitting. And a fly ball out to center field. Lagares gets turned around and then watches it go. And Lind has a 2-run homer. And it's 22-5. 6 home runs for the Nationals today. The second one off Plawecki.
Killing Rendon.
I was just going to say, the only thing about that from a national standpoint is it takes away Rendon's chance to pad his RBI total.
Well, folks, if you don't make it to BP, this is what it looks like.
A new franchise record for the Nationals, 22 runs, most they've ever had, going all the way back to the beginning of the franchise in Montreal. So here's Rendon, who's driven in 9 of them, trying to become the 13th player in history to have a 10 RBI or better game. But he'd have to hit the ball to the ballpark to do it.
So if you needed to relieve Plawecki, would you have him switch with Rene Rivera?
Maybe.
Oh, nice on the corner.
And Rendon fouls it off. He's thinking home run here.
His worst nightmare. The radar gun is back for Kevin.
Well, he's cracking 80. So
all
at least
twos.
he's
Yahtzee.
At least he's got Strawberry beat.
Haven't seen a breaking ball yet from Kevin. Come on.
Really?
Come on, break off a little breaking ball.
I would think he'd see a knuckleball before a breaking.
No, breaking ball.
I mean, everybody's got a knuckleball.
No. Trying to fool him.
Well, if you like numbers, here's the Ford Nationals box score, highlighted by Rendon's 5 for 5, 9 RBI afternoon. 6 home runs for the Nats today, including a pair for Rendon and a pair for Wieters.
And Rendon slams one deep left field, back toward the wall, and it's out of here. A 10 RBI afternoon for Anthony Rendon. The 13th player in Major League history to reach double digits in RBIs. 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs for Anthony Rendon. And it's 23-5.
Rendon's first career 3 home run game. And they want a curtain call here in D.C. And Rendon provides one.
What a day.
First major leaguer in 9 years to drive in 10 runs in a game since Garrett Anderson in 2007. Taylor flies one into shallow center, and Lagares has that. That's the first out of the inning. The last National Leaguer to reach double digits in RBIs was Mark Whitten in that 12 RBI game in 1993. So So it's been 24 years since a National Leaguer got to 10 or more.
How'd you do, Anthony, today? Well, 6 for 6, 6 runs scored, 10 RBI, made some good plays at third.
And Wieters gets under one to center field. This one will be playable for Lagares. And that's the second out. You know how all the hitters now say they're trying to hit the ball in the air? Oh, they're all hitting the ball in the air against Plawecki.
And poor Kevin, he's learning that pitcher's mound can be a very lonely place.
And there's you know, there's nobody behind him, so he's being asked to finish this. Now Rafael Batista looking for his first big league hit. And there's nothing fun if you're in the dugout.
Well, you can sometimes have a little bit of fun if the pitcher, who's a player, is having success. You know, where you're happy to see him out there and doing some stuff. There's a little cutter there by Plawecki, but this is got embarrassed on a Sunday.
Reyes in front of the ground ball, throws out Batista, and that finally puts a close to the Nationals scoring for the day. A franchise record 23 runs, 10 of them driven in by Anthony Rendon. We go to the ninth, 23-5. On Pix 11 will be next Saturday when the Mets host the Marlins at 7 o'clock. Mets baseball on Pix 11 next Saturday. Be there. Kevin Plawecki, a 1-2-3 inning in the eighth. Not so fortunate in the seventh. Not so fortunate in the eighth. Gave up 3 home runs and saved any further carnage for the bullpen. But the numbers are just startling today for the Nationals, who lead the major leagues in runs scored and have certainly enhanced that today.
I really like that shot we showed Blake Trinan in for the Nationals of Rivera trying to comfort Plawecki. You know, it's that's the thing about being a teammate. Good times, bad times. You're there for each other, and that is. It's been as horrible a day as it can be for the Mets today, starting with Syndergaard and the 23 runs. But that is what friendship as teammates is all about. Real cool.
Matt Reynolds is 1 for 3 today in his first major league outing of the year. Well, here's one ray of sunshine. The 23 runs the Mets have allowed today are not the most ever allowed by a Mets team.
Was I at the game?
You were certainly at the game. 1985, Philadelphia, the Von Hayes game. 26 Philadelphia runs that day.
It's called the Von Hayes game because Von Hayes led off, hit a home run, and came up the second time in the first inning with the bases loaded and hit a grand slam. So he was 2 for 2, 2 home runs, 5 RBI. That's how it started. Tom
Gorman started that game?
Tom Gorfax. We called him Gorfax because the way he spoke, you would have thought he was Sandy Koufax. But Tommy Gorman started, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. He was in the trainer's room taping up his bat because he told all of us that he was the greatest hitting pitcher at Gonzaga. So he couldn't wait to get his swings in. Gives up 6 in the first, only went 2/3 of an inning, never got an at bat. Joey Sambito came in, he gave up 10. Calvin Schiraldi came in, he gave up 10, and that's it.
So there was no position player that day because, as we mentioned, it's a 1992 no men position player taking the mound.
Well, he probably could have, but Doug Sisk came in, I think maybe through 2 1/3 innings or something of outstanding baseball to stop us from using a position. I don't know who would have pitched on those teams. It's a good question.
I'm perusing the box score now. Your memory is fantastic, by the way. Schiraldi gave up 10 runs in an inning and a third. Sisk went 2 1/3 scoreless.
Okay.
And then Sambito gave up 10 runs, 8 earned over 3 innings. And then Jesse Orosco pitched the last inning.
J.O.
I mean, I guess Jesse might have had a few days off because otherwise.
I mean, why would he be in that game?
You got to throw somebody out there. Ron Gardenhire.
Ooh, was Gardy on that team?
Yeah, 85, right?
Yeah, okay.
Unless he was hurt, which, he had a few of those.
Yeah.
By the way, the Phillies starter in that game was Charles Hudson. Remember him?
Oh, he gave up a ton of runs.
7 runs and 13 hits in 5 innings.
Yeah.
So he got the win. Here's ball 4, and Lagares draws a walk. So the Mets have a 1-out base runner in the top of the 9th. Out of town scores brought to you by the Honda Dream Garage sales event. The Yankees and Orioles are in extra innings. Yankees tied it up in the 9th. Well, what a juggernaut they're on right now. 15-7 to start the year. Mets are going to Atlanta. The Braves lost a tough one in Milwaukee today. Domingo Santana with 2 home runs. Here's Michael Conforto, 1 for 4 on the day. And Trinan throws a strike.
I just remember that game. The team kind of had fun with it. I mean, certainly Sambito and Schiraldi didn't have fun with it, but we had kind of fun with it because of Tommy Gorman, and he was just one of those guys that he was the life of the team. I was trying to think of who was the left-handed reliever that the Mets had, who was really a funny guy. Burdich? Or Burdick?
Burdack, yeah.
Burdack,
Tim
yeah.
Burdack.
Tim Burdack. Tom Gorman was a lot like his personality.
Well, you guys were relentless anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that was just
different era. You don't have to soothe anybody's feelings then.
No.
Conforto hits one toward the middle. Backhand by Defoe. The glove flip, and Turner's throw just a shade too late to turn 2.
Wilmer Defoe is a good player. We don't get to see him play enough, but he's a utility guy. Can play all the way around the infield. Flashy glove. We saw him start a couple of games at Citi Field. Remember, he got hit with that baseball in the back of the head by Harvey, but a beautiful flip there to get the force.
That was a tough one too.
Yeah.
His glove was turned almost the wrong way to make the flip. So the Mets down to their last out. Here's Reyes, and he grounds one out to Turner. And that'll do it. An historic day for the Washington Nationals as they put up a franchise record 23 runs. Anthony Rendon with a 10 RBI, 6-hit, 3-home run afternoon. And the Nationals
salvaged the finale of the series after the Mets took the first two on a day that Noah Syndergaard is headed back to New York because of injury to have an MRI on his lat. The Mets